morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday to each and every one of you, wherever you are, however you may be listening. Thanks for making us part of your day. Another beautiful day in Mesa, Arizona. Tom, one of these days, bud, you're going to get us to get our facts right. But I appreciate you being here bright and early, and I appreciate your loyalty to whatever you're trying to accomplish here, Tom. It's great to have you here. Tom, did you know? I don't know if you knew this, Tom. When I start these shows, there's like different chats I can look at, so I can set it up by YouTube or Twitch, or I can put them all together. But then there's a special one called Top Chat. It's the people who say the most shit. And Tom, you're in there. So everybody, W Tom this morning for being one of our biggest fans and helping us continue to build this. Thank you, Tom. We appreciate your loyalty and your patronage. Good morning, Jennifer.
W Tom.
Good morning to you.
It is morning, or for a couple more hours.
Are you not having a good morning, Jen?
Oh, it's fine. My morning's fine. Just plugging along. Same old same.
Been a little cold towards me.
Really?
A little bit. I feels a little cold.
I'm sorry. I mean, you're probably wearing a hoodie like a sociopath in the summertime, so you shouldn't be cold. Are you a lizard? You're a lizard person?
I don't think so. I'm laughing at that because I was legitimately just watching like a Jack Posobiec clip from when I forgot that before he wore a suit and looked like a serial killer every day, that he got his start by pushing Pizzagate, which I think I actually have it on the outline today. I kind of forgot about that. But,
well, that's crazy.
Thank you.
It's okay.
You give me the worst fucking responses. It's devastating. I'll tell the story and you're like, great. Terrific.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I'm sorry you're upset.
Why don't you tell a fucking story? We'll see how good your story is.
I do tell stories, and they're amazing. People love my stories.
Tell us
I just don't have one. I don't have one right now.
Once again, it's me pulling all the weight. I have to come up with the stories.
I mean, here, actually, this is kind of funny. She's not awake yet. I mean, she might be, but like, I think Swan has figured out that if I do go out, if I do go on dates, she's figured out a way that she can get things that she like. So I'll like make sure she has dinner or whatever, or DoorDash, whatever she wants. I had gone out recently, and she said that she wanted some chocolate. I thought it might have been like, And so I'm like, okay, what kind of chocolate? So I was going to DoorDash for like something from 7-Eleven. She sends me this bougie chocolate, like delicatessen. She wanted like Dubai chocolate.
I love it. What's that one?
I was like,
there's some chocolate, Tony's chocolate. Have you had Tony's chocolate bars?
I don't think so.
Oh my God. They're incredible.
Yeah. So it's funny. So like I said, the last one she sent, I was like, I was talking like a Hershey's bar or a Kit Kat, something. I said, I'm not ordering you Dubai chocolate.
That's how much is a DoorDashed Hershey bar? It's like $12.
Well, I mean, I got a couple things that, I mean, not,
okay.
I mean, minimum order is $12 or so, but I've got a card that doesn't charge me the delivery fee, so I don't feel as bad.
Then you're good. Okay.
Yeah.
Get her some Tony's next time.
I'll have to look it up and see what it is.
It's like a big ass chocolate bar. They have different ones. I get the one with like the caramel inside of it.
Let's see. Tony's chocolate. Is it like, this is an old school chocolate?
I don't think so. Somebody gave it to me. Where was I? Somebody gave it to me like in a gift basket or something a few years ago. That was the first time I saw it. Yeah, JP, sea salt and caramel. Does it melt in your mouth? Oh my God. It does a lot of things too. You're going to have a lot of emotions eating Tony's chocolate. Confusing ones too. You might have romantic inclinations towards your Tony's chocolate bar when you eat them. That's how good they are. Yeah, I've seen the multi-bags. Yeah. Oh, now I want Tony's. This is a problem. Once again, you guys see how Jen just leaves me though? She just goes silent.
Weird. Right.
What?
The voice chat just like glitched out on me, so I didn't hear when I asked you, are these it?
Oh, these. Oh, okay. Yeah, these are the ones.
These little chunks.
The orange one is my favorite. That's the sea salt and caramel. And then I think there's like a milk chocolate. What's the yellow one? Does it have lemon? Is it lemon chocolate?
Are you showing everybody?
Oh shit, they can't
Right.
see it. That's right.
Right.
Sorry. I was showing you guys. My bad. What's this yellow one?
I mean, when I look into it closely, it doesn't seem. It says milk chocolate. Oh, okay, yeah, it's milk chocolate.
The yellow is milk chocolate?
Yeah. So that's the yellow is
I thought the
milk
red was.
chocolate. The orange is caramel milk chocolate.
Yeah.
The red is just says milk chocolate. So then the green is hazelnut, purple chocolate pretzel, and the pink is white chocolate raspberry.
All right. I have no use for chocolate raspberry. I don't like fruit in chocolate. Like I don't do. Do you like the chocolate oranges? Like the Christmas ones?
Those, I mean, for Christmas, I guess those can be good for Christmas. I mean, I wouldn't want them regularly, but
why does it look like a shoe print? Because Tony steps on it and then they put it in a wrapper. That's what makes it so good. You make your own wrappers?
Stepped on chocolate.
Hold on, Tony's custom wrappers. You can. We got to make a Tony's wrapper. Jen, during the live today, can you make us a RTP Tony's wrapper?
Possibly.
You just go to US. Well, you can just Google Tony's custom wrapper. That's what I did.
Okay, I'll look into that.
All right, and then I'll put my shoe print on it. I'll do like a mushroom stamp one for MAGA dads too. We'll do like a special.
Awesome. Sounds like a plan.
I don't feel good about that one. Sorry, everybody. That was a little early for that one. That's my bad.
Yeah, I mean, I did go back in our RTP out of context channel and rewatch some of your.
It's tough for me to watch sometimes.
It's funny. I know. It's entertaining. See, when you were rocking out last week, so pretty funny.
I was rocking out last week.
Yeah, rocking out with your out.
That's enough. Do your announcements. That's plenty. Get out. Do your announcements.
Well, we can get going. We don't have to make you more awkward and uncomfortable. So we'll move on from here. Welcome, everybody. We are live. Jay, today we started a little later so that Jay can get us some clips from the hearing. So that's why we're like today, I guess, a little later.
Yeah.
But welcome. So depending on wherever you're watching, thanks for being here. If you're on TikTok, if we could get up to 30K likes, that would be fantastic. We've got a gift goal. We'd like to, if we gift over there, we can hopefully not get banned. So there's a gift goal on TikTok. So if you have your daily heart that you haven't sent yet.
What's up, you freaking hammers?
Also,
apparently,
like the live.
My video
we also
that
have
I
a
made.
regular gift goal, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats. All go towards hitting the gift goal too, so we can keep doing this each day, Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 1 Pacific Standard Time. This is our job. It's how we pay our bills and keep the lights on. If you're not a paid subscriber or member wherever you're watching, you should become one so you can join us for members only events. We'll have another one coming up next Wednesday. We do them every other Wednesday. If you disagree with RTP and like to come up and have a conversation, you can do that by sending me a message on Discord. My Discord username is the same as the Venmo. So Jen with 2 N's, Deb with 2 B's, the number 1. Check out the link in my bio. We're on most social media platforms. We got merch. Jay's on Cameo. I noticed. Are we streaming to Facebook too?
Yeah, I'm trying. Is it working? I don't know if it's working or not.
I saw it the other day, but I think we also got there was some kind of notification. I think Facebook might be more touchy about clips sharing. But
yeah. All right.
So there's that. But so yeah, if we can knock out the gift code, that would be sweet. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats. We prefer the pay links because they take less from us than Super Chats, but everything's appreciated. Why do ballerinas love the number 4?
I don't know.
2 twos.
Oh my God. All right. Well, thank you, High Energy Jen, for that invigorating round of announcements. We appreciate you as always. I'm going to be petty to start today. If you remember a couple days ago, we made fun of Jam and Lou, who I've said this to his face, to his camera face, and I continue to say it, and I will continue to believe he is the dumbest person on the internet that anybody listens to. And he put out that video of him saying that Lindsey Graham was like a husband and a father and a grandfather. And apparently, I'm not the only one that made fun of him. Apparently, Jolly also made fun of him. And he should have been made fun of. That's one of those ones that you take the L on, and you're just like, but that was dumb. I was over my skis. But if you know Jam and Lou, you know that's not what he's about. He's not really about admitting that he's wrong. So this is Jam and Lou after incorrectly saying that Lindsey Graham was a husband, father, and grandfather, and now saying he's playing 4D chess.
Patriot Front has rubbed some people on the right the wrong way, telling me, Lou, you should be standing with Patriot Front because they do things peacefully. Fuck?
That's the wrong one.
First of all, I don't stand with white supremacists.
Sorry.
Second of all, those of us that have been around for years know exactly what Patriot Front. I wasn't a fan of Lindsey Graham, but that man was a husband, a father. Sup, you fucking hammers. You might want to turn your volume down. But I said what the fuck I said for a reason. Y'all remember the phrase, it's chess?
Sorry. I never know how to full screen this shit.
For those that don't know, I've been talking about politics for a little under 20 years now and talking my shit on social media since 2010.
He's been doing this since 2010. And he's still this dumb. Like I don't know how he sounded in 2010, but I'm just guessing he has accumulated no knowledge, just none. If you had a scorecard, it would be like knowledge accumulated 0.
Honestly think that I don't know that a fellow veteran, as a veteran myself, was never married or had children, even though I knew he adopted his daughter, was not a father or a husband.
I don't know what being a veteran would have to do with any of that shit. He also didn't adopt his daughter because that would have been his daughter already. He adopted his sister. He is the dumbest, right? Can we all just agree that he is the dumbest?
I got a fucking bridge to sell you in the middle of the ocean.
His learning curve is as curved as the brims on his hats. Yeah, it's just straight across.
That leads nowhere. See, I said what I said for a reason. Because I knew that individuals on the left, people like content creators of Jolly Ginger and many fucking others that I don't know, were going to dissect my video and try to make me look some type of way. But here's the thing.
Dumb was the type of way that we were going to make you look. And we didn't have to say much. We just played your video. But that was the type of way we weren't portraying you that way. We were just playing the video of you speaking your words. We didn't have to edit anything. Didn't have to add commentary. It was just like, here's the thing that Jammin said. And everybody's like, oh, that's very dumb.
They work for me now.
Oh, we work.
Many of his former followers that have followed me, after realizing the fucking truth I speak about what our cultures in the black or brown community fucking stand for, they leave his bitch made having ass. And ever since...
I don't actually know who he's talking about now. Now I'm confused. He might be talking about Jolly. I haven't figured out who he's talking about now.
2020. He's got new followers that didn't know about me, but they do now. And that is where I get my foot in the door to bring them the fucking truth.
It's a bold strategy. It is a bold strategy to try and win people over by getting their attention, saying the dumbest fucking things. I'm going to put out a video saying things that are untrue so that people will make fun of me, and then those people will listen to me. My foot will be in the door. Bad news. You don't want feet in the door there, bud. I would also like to say this. He has, I don't know, like he has hundreds of thousands of followers. He doesn't get a lot of views for the amount of followers he has over here. I don't get a lot of views on TikTok, but he has maybe like 20x my followers.
This is also why I wasn't disrespectful to Lindsey Graham, even though I'm not a fan of his. Now, I'm not going to talk...
If anybody runs into Lou this week, ask him what one thing he's not a fan of Lindsey Graham for. I bet he doesn't like know one.
Talk about the right in regards to me also being proven right that some of you are no different than motherfuckers on the left. And to be honest, some of y'all need to unfuck yourselves and start prioritizing the real wolf in the fucking henhouse, which happens to be the DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America, who want to fucking ruin our country from within. If you don't get your fucking shit together, we're not going to have a country.
Okay, this is a perfect intro. I swear to God, like, yeah, that's dumb. But the reason none of them can seem to have a coherent argument, I'll skip. I took some edibles last night, and then I had some time and I started prepping for the show, and I came across this video. This is Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. I was sitting with my girlfriend who she doesn't know the people in politics, so I was trying to explain who Mike Johnson was, and the weird situation that our country is in, where this guy is the Speaker of the House. It's a open, not so secret that he cheats on his wife with men. They've literally posted the screenshots of his Grindr account. But all the Republicans just pretend that that's not happening, and his wife just pretends that that's not happening. And then also, this is the same guy who has I want to see what you're masturbating to app with his son, that they share each other's search histories at the end of every single day. And he's leading the GOP. He is the most deferential House leader I've ever seen to the president. I've never seen the Speaker of the House be so deferential to the president. Just be like, hey, you know what? We're not going to do anything that you don't tell us to do. We just completely work for you. He wrote a speech. I swear to God, and he says it. You know, in the movie when they say, what was I just watching? I was watching Hell or High Water the other day. And there's this part in Hell or High Water where they're meeting with their lawyer, and he's like, you got to get that money there on Friday, come hell or high water. And you're like, that's the name of the movie. He says it in the speech, but I swear to God, this 8-minute speech is entitled, "The Barbarians Are Inside the Gate," which, again, I was on edibles last night, and I was thinking about that, and I was like, that actually doesn't make sense either, because the Barbarians could be in the gates or through the gates, but if they're inside the gates, then what he's actually saying is that the Barbarians are probably very small and are living inside of a gate, which makes me think that the Barbarians might just be a rodent problem that they have wherever he wrote this speech from. It doesn't make any sense. And then I just started thinking, this whole fucking thing, the whole GOP is a LARP. The entire fucking thing is just a LARP. We're going to watch this whole speech. This is insane. This is you would see this at a bad play. And we'll just let him talk.
Carlos Jimenez, for sharing your incredible life story. Thank you.
By the way, Carlos Jimenez's story was, my family fled Cuba, and communism is bad. And that was basically the whole thing.
Chairwoman McClain, we're a little more animated these days than normal. I brought a little fire to our House Republican Conference meeting this morning because
to be a fly on the wall watching Mike Johnson get everybody worked up. We all put our hands together at the end. 1, 2, 3, Trump. Walked out of there fired up, and we all came out unified with this message.
I feel like Carlos does. I believe everything is at stake right now. This isn't campaign rhetoric. It's not hyperbole. You see what's happening around America.
Spoiler, it's exclusively campaign rhetoric and hyperbole. I know they said it's not, and that's disappointing that Mike Johnson would lie to us like this. But just a spoiler, it's entirely campaign rhetoric and hyperbole.
I am often reminded these days of the writings of the founders, the warnings of the people who put together the principles that made us the greatest nation in the history of the world. They warned us against times like this. In more recent
founding fathers. Okay, got it. That was in the 1700s. Got it.
Recent times when we were kids, in the 80s, Ronald Reagan used to remind us all the time. You hear me repeat it. You have to understand, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It is not passed along in the bloodstream. Reagan said it must be fought for. It must be protected. It has to be taught, passed along to the next.
Yeah, that was fucking stupid, though. I think one thing we don't say enough about Ronald Reagan is that he was fucking wrong a lot. The Red Scare was bullshit. We didn't even have a war. Like, we didn't have a war with Russia, right? Like, we got to fight Mother Russia. How are we going to do it? Build a rocket ship to the moon? So we're not going to, like, no combat? No combat. We're just going to build a rocket ship to the moon? Yeah, that's how we beat them. Oh. Yay. Fuck them. What the fuck? What was that? What was this Red Scare thing that Ronald Reagan had us so worked up about? He had Alzheimer's. Yeah. There's a through line there. Sometimes I think we make the mistake of looking back on American history like all the presidents were right. Ronald Reagan was really wrong. It was fine. We were never in any real danger. We just built up our nuclear arsenals and threatened each other, and we were never really going to push the button. But we don't have to fight for our freedom. We have it. Nobody's trying to fight us right now. We're going all over the world looking for fights. Literally nobody will fight us. So we're going to their house like, I'm going to fight you here. That's what we're doing right now. Nobody will show up anymore.
Next generation, so that they too will understand these principles that hold us together. I'm somewhat of a historian. I'm a constitutional law attorney. I know many of you we're all amateur historians here. You must be if you work on Capitol Hill. You watch and follow these developments. There's a small number of times in the history of America where the actual experiment in self-governance was on the ballot.
Okay, cool. Civil War? Yeah. Right around the Revolutionary War? When were the other times when it was on the ballot? Let's see if you can...
The idea that we would preserve a constitutional republic, one nation under God, a government of, by, and for the people. All that is in...
Well, one nation under God was added like in the 50s or 60s. After all of this other shit. I guess War of 1812, Gilded Age, civil rights. Yeah.
Question right now. For the first time really in my lifetime, this is a real question the American people have to decide in November, in a midterm election.
Yes. They're afraid of Mom Donnie. They're afraid of single-payer health care. They're afraid of defunding Israel. They're afraid of taxing rich people. And if those things get taken away, our country will fall apart. We just can't do it. The future of America as a democracy is on the line if we start giving people health care.
For Congress and Senate. It's not something that we would have projected. I hoped and prayed it would never come to this, but here we are. The Barbarians are in the gate.
Oh, fuck. Oh, no. There it is. The Barbarians are in the gate. Why you can't see them. They're built into the gate. They're highly camouflaged.
Last night I did a little, had a big group actually of VIPs that took on a tour. I don't get to do that very often anymore, but took a tour of the Capitol, a quick one. We wound up on the House floor, and I pointed to them, as you may have heard me reference this often. I think of it a lot. Why did Congress put "In God We Trust" above the rostrum of the Speaker's podium there?
Because they were a bunch of Christians and they didn't understand the whole like we should separate our government from our religion, and so they put it up there. But like since everybody in the country was Christian, basically nobody gave a shit. It wasn't even that big of a deal at the time. It's just become a big deal to Christians to be like, hey, you have to follow the Bible because we put "In God We Trust." We didn't need to do that. We shouldn't have done that. That's probably a mistake.
Center of the House. It's inscribed in the marble, as you know. You can't miss it when you walk in the chamber. It's the first thing people notice when they walk in at eye level and see it there. And I pointed out that in the visitor's guide to the House, it explains that. It says it was put there in 1962, and it says in the visitor's guide, it's been published for many years, it said Congress voted to place that there as a rebuke to the Soviets because of their philosophy during the Cold War. What was...
Well, then that was stupid. Then that was pretty fucking stupid. Imagine explaining that. Imagine being the tour guide. We put that up there as a rebuke to the Soviets from the Cold War. Why is saying "In God We Trust" a rebuke to the Soviets? Well, they didn't like God. Okay. But why is that a rebuke to them? Just like, right? That was a dumb reason to put that up there. I thought they would have a better reason for that, honestly. This is a LARP. This is what they're fighting for, for the midterms. This is the agenda. The communists are coming. The barbarians are in the gate. In God we trust. That's how bad things are going for this administration. It's just 100% rhetoric. Amy Lynn said, sure seems like the country started falling apart when we started giving it away to big money. Yeah, some would say that.
It's the philosophy of the Soviets. It's what Carlos just outlined. Same philosophy of Cuba. The brutal dictatorship there that robbed him of his childhood and so many countless others. They've lost their lives trying to flee from that brutal dictatorship.
Again, what does that have to do with the words "in God we trust"? I don't know.
The philosophy of the Soviets during the Cold War was Marxism, communism, socialism.
Those are three different things. What is your favorite dessert on earth? My one favorite dessert on earth is ice cream, brownies, and chocolate chip cookies. Those were three, sir. Those are three different things, bud.
That's the thing. And when Congress voted in 1962 to put that there, it was right after your childhood in the late 50s when the Castro took over and destroyed Cuba.
Yeah, but remember, it was in response to Russia, not Cuba, right?
It was a completely foreseeable result. We were fighting it during the Cold War on distant shores in the USSR. And
we weren't fighting. We just made a rocket ship and we went to the moon. Conservatism is a LARP. It's not real. They're calling things fights that aren't fights. It's my favorite part in history. The Cold War. What happened in the Cold War? Did anybody go to war? Not one fucking person went to war. What happened? We both tried to get to the moon, and then we got there first. We won. Goddamn, what a terrifying war.
And Congress was resolute on that. They were all united, and they understood that
As he said, reminds me of SpongeBob Choco Bar. That was probably from earlier.
that's not who we are as Americans. The reason we are the greatest nation in the history of the world, the most free, most successful, most powerful, most benevolent. You hear me say it all the time. The reason that we are the greatest
I don't know about benevolent
nation is because we were built on an entirely different and opposing set of values. Congress put in God we trust above.
Yeah, but we weren't built on that, right? Because if that was in 1962, we weren't built on that, right? That was 1962, and we were founded in 1776, so we weren't built on that, right? Just like your house isn't built on the upstairs bathroom; it's built on a foundation, right? We weren't built on that. That was a thing that some weirdos added later to say we won the Cold War.
The rostrum because they wanted to remind everybody who would ever.
By the way, I don't even know if that's true. I don't even know if that's why they put "In God We Trust" up there. I'm just taking him at his word that that's why they did it. I have no earthly idea. If somebody might want to will you just fact check that and see if that's really why they put that? Jen, will you fact check it? See if that's really why they put that on there.
Serve in this body in Congress.
Don't you mock my load-bearing upstairs bathroom architecture. That's my bad. You're correct. You're correct. Reikis is a genius. Actually, the architectural integrity of my house it relies wholly upon my upstairs bathroom. That crumbles. The whole thing's fucked.
That there is a huge distinction between us and the Soviets' philosophy. Communism, Marxism, socialism, all this begins
once again three different things. Three different things.
With the premise that there is no God. It's a totally different philosophy.
Also, not relevant to God, right? Because Marxism, socialism, communism, those are economic theories. Economic. Your belief in a Sky Daddy is 100% irrelevant to all of this. It's a weird argument they're making, because are they saying then that, like, God is a capitalist? Like, the economic theory of capitalism is, like, endorsed by God?
In our declaration that we just celebrated, 250 years on July 4th, the nation's creed, as you hear me talk about all the time, the second paragraph, we hold these truths to be self-evident and all men are created equal. Our rights come from our Creator God. They do not come from the government.
That's my favorite part. He read the Constitution, which is a document that was written by men as they founded our government. And that document guarantees your rights that the government grants you. And when he's done reading that document written by the government, of the rights granted by the government, he concludes with, your rights are not granted to you by the government, but by God, which is weird that he had to cite the government is where they're being getting their rights granted from. This is another LARP. This is another thing that the GOP says that doesn't make any fucking sense. It's something that everybody that says this should be confronted when they're like, rights come from God. No, they just legitimately don't. Right? That's why your rights that you have here don't follow you if you go to North Korea. They don't follow you because God doesn't give you your rights. Whatever country you're in grants you the rights in that country. It's insane. The whole thing's a LARP. This is what Mike Johnson got the troops fired up about. We got to go out there. We got to talk more about God and talk more about communism.
The communists believe the opposite. They believe that the government the state is God. The state is the one that gives you all your.
No, communists believe the state is the state, and communists don't believe in a state. A true communist society is stateless, classless, moneyless. And so communists do believe in a state, but they don't want that state to exist. They want that abolished. He might be thinking more of like a democratic socialist. And in that case, I guess count America as democratic socialist because we also believe that the Constitution is what gives you your rights, which is why like you don't have to believe in God to have rights. And like if you take office, you don't have to swear in on a Bible. You don't have to swear in on a religious book at all. You can swear in on Harry Potter if you'd like to, because the rights are granted by the Constitution, which is backed by the full weight and force of the United States government and not God.
Rights. And you know what? The state can also take those rights away. And that's exactly what happens. It's inevitable. Communism and this philosophy has led to the murder of tens of millions of innocent people in the 20th century alone. It is a nightmare. It is a trail to certain death. Okay?
Certain death, guys. Certain death. The barbarians are in the gate. If you don't vote for Republicans, you will certainly die. Let's also just back up. There aren't any fucking communists running. There's just no communists running. Zero. There's not even any socialists or Marxists running. It's just democratic socialists. They just want to give you some health care, and they want rich people to pay their fair share, and they think that you should be able to afford childcare, and they think you should have like a good means of transportation that's cheap and effective and efficient. They want you to be so scared of that.
And that's why we're speaking in such stark terms, because we need America to wake up.
Yeah.
We're not even, look, 35 years ago, Republicans and Democrats in Congress, when I was coming up in, the Reagan years, they were fighting communism on a distant shore. Now it's here. But in Congress.
Where is it, Mike? Show us where the communism is. Point to it. We got MAGA here. MAGA, could you show us where the communism is so that we can go fight it? And by fight it, I mean, we're going to all just try and build our own rockets and send them to the moon. We could all just show up with like those CO2 cartridge rockets. We'll shoot them up and we'll just claim victory. Could we just do that?
They all agreed on that. They obviously knew that we had to fight communism. And so what they were doing here for domestic policy, that was foreign policy. Domestic policy, they were arguing over, marginal tax rates and the shades of regulation and how large the government should be.
That's what we're arguing about right now, bud. And did you know in the Reagan era, when they were arguing about marginal tax rates and the size of the government, that the Republicans kept calling everybody who wanted to keep marginal tax rates high for the wealthy, they just started calling them socialists and communists and said, you're just like Russia. Yeah, thank you, JP. They're literally like this. They're out of ideas. They're just doing the Red Scare all over again. But I honestly just don't think people care. I don't think people give a fuck. I don't think anybody gives a shit about Russia right now. Nobody's afraid of communism right now. It's not here. It'd be one thing if you had like a massive movement of communists. But that doesn't even exist. They're inventing groups. They're calling people like Ro Khanna, who's clearly a capitalist, a communist.
There wasn't a huge difference, a chasm between the two parties. Those days are gone. Right now, domestic.
Does God write amendments? Ooh, good question. Well, he doesn't make mistakes, so how could he write an amendment?
We are arguing, we are debating, we are fighting. The election will be over whether we're going to maintain our freedom in a constitutional republic, the greatest experiment in self-governance in the history of the world, the longest surviving constitution on the planet, the nation that everybody wants to emulate.
Literally, nobody wants to emulate us. You know how I know? because nobody's emulating us. They just want us to stop murdering people. Literally, no. Who's emulating us? Turkey? Argentina? Most places are. I guess maybe you could say El Salvador, kind of. Nobody wants to be the United States. They don't want. They don't want to fuck with the United States because we're crazy. But yeah, nobody's emulating us.
And everybody wants to come here. We have to seal our borders.
If God doesn't write amendments, then explain the New Testament. Checkmate, libs. Yeah, you're right, Jesus Skywalker. That's a pretty good point, honestly.
They won't flood over them. We're the only nation in the world that has that distinction. We're the last great superpower. We are the greatest nation in the history of the world. We are fighting right now in Congress over whether we're going to maintain our status as a constitutional republic or we're going to trade that in, dismantle the foundations, and go down this dark road of death to communism.
No. Not the dark road of death of communism. You have two choices. Fascism or death. This guy, he can't lead a movement. If he winds up like leading a movement and gets enough people afraid for Republicans to win the midterms, I think we're just done as America's superpower. It can't be this guy. There's no way this guy's going to convince other people.
That is the question on the ballot this fall. Now, DSA published their platform. I hope you're all covering. I hope you're writing in depth about their platform. I read it out at an event a few weeks ago, and they've made an ad mocking me reading their platform. Now, they didn't put the clips with the worst parts of it. Representative Jimenez just told you, Carlos told you that. Well, of course they want to pack the Supreme Court, and they want a unicameral.
He did this. Let me see if I can. Is there a video of this? I didn't even see this.
Legislature, they want the House to run everything, abolish the Senate, because they believe the House would be run by Marxists, communists. They'll be able to run the table on everything. They want to remove the president. What they also want to do is abolish all borders. They don't want any borders. They want
nobody. There's not anybody at all who has said that. Name one person who wants to abolish all borders. I played it. Are you sure, Johnny?
Mass amnesty granted to anyone who can come onto our shores without exception, even for terrorists and hardened.
No, nobody's asking for that either. Oh, I read it for me. Yeah.
Dangerous criminals. Okay. They don't want prisons. It's in their platform. They want to remove the carceral state. They said no prisons. They don't want to fund the police. This is not a game. Everybody needs to understand these crazy little mini Mamdanis who are popping up all around the country. They are.
Oh, no, that's probably who the barbarians that are in the gate. They're mini Mamdanis. This motherfucker's been cloning himself. He's sending out mini Mamdanis. They're climbing in your gates. They're coming in, and if once they're in the gates, boom, you bitches have health care. You're gonna fucking hate it. You're gonna absolutely hate it. Single payer health care from the mini Mamdanis living inside of your gates. I was dying laughing, and I couldn't explain because, again, like my girlfriend doesn't like watch a lot of this stuff, and I'm just dying laughing. I was like, I can't even explain to you how silly this is that I'm going to cover this tomorrow. This is the Speaker of the House. If Donald Trump dies and JD Vance dies, this guy is president. And he's out here talking about mini Mamdanis and a war against communism. It's bizarre. We live in such a strange world.
You're a danger to you and your family.
Already have health care. I said single payer health care, dummy.
This is not a game. If they promise you free stuff, there is far more beneath those promises that even some of these people do not understand themselves. And so we are here as the Republican Party to stand.
People making the promises don't even understand the promises that they're making. Once they make those promises, boom, evil promises. Suddenly there's mini Mamdanis on each shoulder telling them where to put the socialism.
And on the founding principles of the greatest nation in the history of the world. It is our duty to do that. And we're doing it on behalf of all of you, even the journalists who don't agree with our policies all the time.
Are the commies in the room with Mike Johnson? Yeah, but you can't see them because they're mini Mamdanis. It sounds like a delicious treat. The illusion said, walk through the valley of the shadow of communism. Damien said, let's start the dollar train. Thank you, Damien. As I walk through the
time, you better agree on these principles, because it's what keeps you free. By the way, it's what keeps the...
Oh, sorry. Dustin said, Jesus only overturned the communist tables in the religious square, I guess. Thank you.
Press free, okay? This is essential for your well-being and your family. This is not a game. This is not
I'm doing this for you, damn it. You think I like doing this? You think I wanted to fight this fight? I'm doing this for you. You don't even know. You don't even understand it. Trust me, guys. I'm doing this for you. Brother, you're doing this because you don't want your party to out you. So now you're fighting a fake fight.
Father's Democrat Party, this is not, we're not arguing over marginal tax rates anymore.
We are.
We're arguing over whether or not freedom is going to survive.
We're not.
And that's why we're so serious about this.
You're not.
Look, I'm a happy warrior, man. I like
You're not.
to get up and have fun, but it's just not a...
No fucking chance Mike Johnson in the 55 to 60 years of life has ever woke up and said, I'm going to have fun today. Nobody believes that Mike Johnson wakes up and wants to have fun. Mike Johnson wakes up immediately and starts praying for forgiveness for the dreams that he just had. And he spends the rest of the day living in terror that he might be exposed for his innermost feelings. And then he goes outside and fearmongers. I guarantee Mike Johnson has never once woke up and went, I'm going to have fun today.
Fun time. We're in a war. We're in a philosophical war.
We're not.
To save the greatest nation in the history of the world. And we take it very seriously.
You shouldn't.
So we recruited extraordinary candidates. We are raising...
You haven't. You've recruited the dumbest fucking candidates. The dumbest. Because only the dumbest fucking candidates would run with this party. All of your smartest people have either left or shut the fuck up. You have not recruited any good candidates. Quick, name me a good Republican candidate. Republicans, who is on the ballot that is a new Republican that you're super pumped about? Spencer Pratt? That didn't go well. You guys really pumped about Mike Rogers? I fucking love Mike Rogers, man. What's Greg? Not Greg. What's the stupid idiots? Paxton. You were pumped about Ken Paxton? Nobody's ever seen Ken Paxton walk in a room and thought, good, Ken Paxton's here.
Record amounts of money that is necessary to win these elections, and we understand everything is at stake. Ronald Reagan used to quote Abraham Lincoln, and he reminded us that America is the last best hope of man on the earth.
It's not. I don't even know what that means, but we're kind of a problem.
As was asked here very well, very articulately this morning, if not here, where? There is
everywhere else. Every other country that's not invading other countries and actively funding genocides. Like almost every other country would be better suited to be a world power than us.
There's no answer to that question. This is the best.
It's not.
Not a perfect nation.
No.
We're still in a process of making a more perfect union. But we are working every day to ensure that the principles of individual freedom and limited government and the rule of law and peace through strength and fiscal...
We've never had more of a police state. Never has the press and the freedom of speech been more under attack in my lifetime. I'm only speaking for my lifetime. It's not what they're doing.
Responsibility and free markets and human dignity are maintained because that is the formula that makes a successful free...
All right, MAGA, point to the chart where the Democratic Socialists touched you.
Free, happy people and a successful nation.
Just remember, guys, the barbarians are in the gate. Go check your gates for the barbarians. It's really happening. Is this... When did he read the... Oh, here it is.
The DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America, this is their platform. Listen, this is actually quotes from their platform that they published, I think, about a day or two ago. You can find this on the internet. Okay, here's just a sample of what they're about. They put this on paper. They're saying the quiet things out loud. Abolish the Electoral College, replace the two-party system with a multi-party democracy.
That sounds pretty good.
Expand the House of Representatives.
Sounds pretty good.
Implement proportional representation.
Sounds pretty good. This all sounds like improved democracy.
And ranked choice voting and
Yeah. So instead of a two-party system that 100% of America agrees is the part, listen, get rid of the two-party system like anybody wants that. Bro, everybody wants that. If you walked up to any random stranger on the street and said, hey, do you think we should have a two-party system or more than two parties? Every single person you talk to would say one of two things: two-party system, or I'm not sure what you're talking about. And then you could explain what you were talking about, and they'd be like, oh, two-party is stupid. You should have lots of parties.
All elections. Establish public ownership of the largest corporations.
Oh, no. Oh, no. That's what Trump's doing, by the way.
And essential industries to ensure democratic control and accountability to the people.
What the fuck is that look? Is Mike Johnson trying to fuck somebody in the audience right there? Is he flirting? What was that? That was sultry.
Corporations and essential industries to ensure democratic control and accountability to the people.
Oh. He's thinking about Mom Donnie. I wish he'd put me in some democratic control.
Abolish ICE and grant amnesty for all.
Cool. Yeah. When? Wasn't that Reagan? That sounds like Reagan.
End sanctions on Cuba, Venezuela, and...
See how his mouth was watering? End sanctions
Iran.
on Cuba? Yeah. And Iran?
Free.
Good. Yeah. We should end sanctions on Cuba and Iran.
Free Palestine.
Yep.
Quote, for a free Palestine with Jerusalem as its capital, end all military and economic aid to Israel, prosecute U.S. and Israeli leaders responsible for the genocide in Gaza.
Yeah. Woo! This is the most perfect platform I've ever heard in my life.
Abolish the carceral state.
Listen to this. They want to make us less likely to incarcerate more of our citizens than anyone else in the world. They think we should send less people to prison. Can you fucking believe that? Yeah, let's do that one too.
Quote, redirect police and prison funding to public services as steps towards abolishing the carceral forces of the capitalist state.
Bang. Yeah, love it.
Y'all, it goes on and on and on. Defund the Department of War.
Woo!
Replace the president and the Supreme Court with an executive and judiciary chosen and subordinate to Congress.
Everybody knows Republican congressmen are subs, okay? They are not DOMs. This is what he has. This is where he really has the problem. He's like, I'm a sub till I die. I will not be placed in a DOM position. We are subs.
The DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America,
one more
with
time.
An executive and
I'm sure that he finished.
Judiciary chosen and subordinate to Congress. The
the fuck is going on in this country? How is this real? All right. We can get to some real stuff today. This made Laura Ingraham mad, so it made me happy, so we're going to talk about it. Here's Laura Ingraham. This is my favorite segment, just because like nobody at Fox News ever, I'm certain that there's nobody on staff and they need to hire somebody. And one of you should put your resume out. There should be somebody at Fox News there on staff just to be like, hey, are we forgetting to not or are we forgetting sometimes that like there's a middle class? Or are we just always gonna like simp for the billionaire class? Here, there was a list released from CNBC on the top 10 like worst states to live in, and it really made Laura Ingraham mad. So let's watch.
Now check out this recent list. 650 CEOs were polled, and they rated.
Excuse me, who was polled? 650 CEOs were polled. Okay.
The best states in which to do business. The top 10, including Texas, Florida, Tennessee.
Gee, I wonder what CEOs would say. I wonder how they would rank states. Probably based on how much money they can keep, how little they can pay the people that work there, employees access to things like unions, taxes, right? Why would you choose as your barometer for best states what the CEOs said?
Georgia, South Carolina are Republican. They're run by Republicans, except Virginia, which is at number 10, and North Carolina, kind of a purple state, at number 5. So money and people, resources, are pouring into red states. So how do the socialists brush this off? Well, they do so either by ignoring it or distorting the data, or the little help from their friends. This CNBC report just comes out.
Noted leftists, CNBC. Noted anti-capitalist, CNBC. They just bring on every fucking CEO ever and worship them openly. But noted commies, CNBC, are fighting back against the capitalist right.
Listed the 10 worst states to live in for 2026. All the states on this list, okay, Trump won.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you want to compare, by the way, like, I wanted to see what they used for their rankings. So this is the first one where they said the top 10 states, and this is the CEOs. They ranked Texas, Florida, Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, Ohio, Arizona, and then I guess you can go down. I guess Utah makes the break there. But here's what they said. It's an annual survey of CEOs, presidents, and business owners with representation from every state. The states focusing on the fundamentals. Here's how they ranked it. Talent. I don't know what that means. Maybe like the amount of people you can get from the college there. Infrastructure, tax, and regulatory climate. So, do you have access to talent? Do you have access to infrastructure? Do you have low taxes? And do you have low regulations? I don't think that's like a great way to judge which states are best. But again, this is just the best and worst states for, they say business, but it's really for CEOs. Let's compare that to what CNBC did. CNBC said the worst places to live, and their methodology makes a lot more sense to me. I went into their methodology, and here's how they decided. They weighted everything. The thing that was weighted the most was infrastructure. What they said is revitalizing domestic manufacturing, rebuilding supply chains, and redefining the very nature of work takes a reimagined infrastructure. Companies are clamoring to build facilities and take advantage of strong demand. So new in 2026, we're measuring the speed at which states are approving permits for things like new construction. That's their highest weighted thing is deregulation, which I don't even know if that's good. But it seems like it's on par with what the CEOs were saying, that this stuff matters a lot. I have the sneaking suspicion that what the CEOs are ranking is actually just how much they save in taxes, and they didn't care about the other three. Because when you look at the way that these are weighted, they're pretty close. Then you have economy. This is companies seek states with stable finances and solid economics. In CNBC, they examined the economic strength of each state by looking at GDP growth and job growth over the past year. Again, not just lowering taxes. You can measure how many people moved to Texas. Does that tell you whether or not it's been successful? No, it tells you what the reputation of Texas is. But does it tell you how well they're doing? No. What would tell you how well a state is doing? You would look at GDP growth, right? You can measure its credit ratings, the outlook, overall budget picture, including spending, revenues, and reserves, as well as pension obligations. Rating the health of the residential real estate market based on multiple factors like inventory price, appreciation, equity, foreclosure activity, and mortgage delinquencies, affordability, home seller gains, and property taxes. Already, the CNBC study is like a legitimate study. The one Fox pointed to was just a poll from CEOs. Then they added in workforce, which is defining like or picking out which places have the most qualified workers, measuring the concentration of science, technology, engineering, and math workers, percentage of workers with college degrees. They also consider workers with associate degrees and industry recognized certificates. They looked at states that are most successful in attracting talent at all levels, quality of life, which was livability factors like per capita crime rates, environmental quality, healthcare, childcare, worker protections, livable wage policies, paid leave, and rights to organize. Yeah, like, do you have rights as a worker? Cost of doing business. So they're going to look at taxes. They're going to look at wage and utility costs, cost of office and industrial space. They consider the cost of property casualty insurance along with forecasted premium increases. Technology and innovation. They consider federal health, science, and agricultural research grants. They measure states based on results, including the number of patents issued per capita, business friendliness, lawsuit and liability climates, regulatory regimes covering areas such as trade and labor, as well as overall bureaucracy, access to capital, can you get financing, education. They look at K through 12 education, test scores, class size, and spending, number of colleges and universities in each state, as well as long-term trends in state support for higher education, and then cost of living was lowest. Said the cost of living helps drive the cost of doing business. We measure the states based on an index of costs for basic items. With the deepening national housing crisis, we measure housing costs both for homeowners and renters. And when you factor in a far more scientific approach, then you wind up with, as Laura Ingraham got very upset about, all these Trump states as the worst places to live.
Every state except Georgia in 2020. And the list included 4 of the top 10 states for business. How does that make any sense?
Well, because the business rankings that you put up there were just the CEO said, and all they cared about is low tax rates, Laura. That's how that makes any sense.
Well, they have kind of a weird calculus there, but this is obviously
Yeah, one of them is calculus and the other one is a poll.
A blatant effort to dismiss and denigrate more conservative states, but it's really nothing new.
Yeah, those fucking commies over at CNBC out attacking the conservatives. How dare you? Amber said, just love to remind MAGA, Biden deported way more. In fact, more than any other president since George Bush. Thank you. And just a reminder to everybody here, I haven't updated it, but we are crowdfunded. We have a daily gift goal that we need to hit every day to keep the lights on here. So if you could help us knock that gift goal out by the end of the live, that would be really fucking cool. Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, as well as Super Chats go towards that goal. And then if you're over on TikTok, help us stay alive by liking and gifting. Unfortunately, that's what TikTok cares about most. So help us stay live on TikTok if you can. I'm not getting the updates from TikTok today. I don't know what's going on with their back end system, but I can't see the gifts today. So I apologize in advance for not acknowledging those. But thank you guys all for being here. All right, moving on. We talked about this at the beginning, but Jack Posobiec went on CNN and was confronted about the fact that he got his start being a Pizzagate guy, and he denied it. And while I was looking for clips of his Pizzagate expose, somebody in that time, and let's give them credit here, Nathan Livingstone at the Milk Bar TV compiled this together. Just a reminder that almost everybody in conservative politics is one, paid by either the administration or a dark money group, and all of them lie nonstop. Jack just did this thing to be taken more seriously. He learned to never smile and wear a suit everywhere he goes. And unfortunately, I was thinking about this earlier. Unfortunately, this works. I think that's what Hassan is doing. Maybe not. I've said before, I don't really watch him a lot, but I noticed he's in a suit all the time. And I think maybe he's just trying to be taken a little bit more seriously now that he's in the spotlight so much. I could be wrong about that. Maybe he's doing it ironically. But that's what Jack Posobiec does. And just a reminder that he got his start literally going in and harassing the people at Comet Pizza.
You were part of that Pizzagate conspiracy theory era. Do you now regret that?
Well, I for one, I never said that it was true.
Pizzagate, when you order the pizza and send it to the apartment where I used to live. House, but yeah, close. Don't do that. Don't fuck with the people that live at that house, those poor people.
Comet Pizza. Here we go.
There it is. Comet Pizza. Comet Pizza's right there. All right, Roosh has already dialed 9 and 1, and then he's ready to dial the last one.
Jack Pussabitch wrote a book called Unhuman. Is that what you're saying, D?
So he's all set for me.
Did you ever promote it?
No.
Never.
Wow. No.
You can see the symbol. Remember the symbol on the FBI list. Do you think this is a good idea or what?
Are we gonna survive this trip?
Do you think we're gonna survive? I don't know.
Should we even eat the pizza?
Do you think the Superman?
That's great. He did. Unhumans, the secret history of communist revolutions and how to crush them. Forward by Steve Bannon. Jeez, I bet that's unbelievable.
Affects what's going on.
With the satanic rituals.
It could. Their powers could be at their highest.
We went there to.
So when I was watching this, though, like it felt to me like Jack Pussabitch was being, like he was joking. And this might be what happened. Like when they first get to Comet Pizza, it seems like they're kind of making fun of it, which is what he leans on. But then once he and I think possibly this is what happens is he goes in. I'll save it, but he goes in, and if you're thinking like he's making a joke, I think maybe he was kind of mocking it at first.
To have dinner and to.
Who is this? This is Jack Pusovich. He is one of the people who was given that binder for the Epstein files. He clearly works for the Trump administration. He's been granted all sorts of access with the Trump administration. And he's just a conspiracy theorist turned independent journalist.
Show people.
Yeah, Pusovich. Not Vitch, Pusovich, I think is how you say it.
People that it was a regular shop. And I've said that from the very start.
Okay, so it's like a secret door to get into the bathrooms.
Oh, was it? Was Comet Pizza the place in Toy Story? I think it was. Fuck. They're just another layer. Just another layer. They put it right in front of your face. They think you won't notice, but you know. The commies are putting Comet Pizza in Toy Story. I'm just kidding, TikTok. Please don't take us down. Toy Story was Pizza Planet. Damn, that ruins the whole thing. Damn. I guess not. I guess they're not in cahoots with Disney or Pixar. Is that Pixar does? Yeah.
See that? It's like there's two doors here, but you couldn't really tell normally. That there.
I understand that to you this is maybe like a game, but considering that I myself and my staff receive death threats,
It's not a game. Well, you're throwing me out.
I am.
A man showed up at Comet Pizza with a loaded weapon to save the children in the basement of Comet Pizza. The owners had to, they were getting death threats all the time. Literally, somebody showed up with a weapon. You can understand, is the ownership like, hey, what the fuck?
Because you're
Pixar is Disney now. The conspiracy is still alive. That's right. Disney would have made it Comet Pizza. Pixar made it Pizza. What was it? Pizza Planet. And then the commies at Disney, they would have changed it to Comet Pizza.
you're aiding a dangerous environment.
Jack, hold on a second, Jack. So what you're saying on live television is you have never ever in your entire career promoted the Pizzagate conspiracy. Is that what you're saying on television?
I am saying the exact same thing that I have said since day number one, and I compared it to Iraq WMDs.
And what does that mean?
Well,
The dreaded follow-up question that MAGA is never ready for. He thought that was the end. It's hard to do, but when you're talking to MAGA, a lot of times you want to just correct everything they say. If you really want to have a good time, don't correct what they say. Just keep asking questions.
And what does that mean?
well, what do you think? It means they were fake.
So I am putting out the call right now, guys. James O'Keefe, we need you in here. I'm gonna need your help on this one, man. This is an operation that suddenly just got a little bit bigger than just myself. I've been burned. George has been burned. They know what we look like. We need people
Could have been the cameras.
in here at a higher level. We need to recruit sub-sources to go in here with hidden cameras because we saw
There was a back room.
a secret back room.
People were going in and out of there. There was music. There were kids, little
There
kids
were little
around.
kids going in and out of this.
There weren't, though, right? There might have been kids like eating pizza at the restaurant. He's a legitimate journalist now. This is who MAGA has elevated.
Back room.
Apparently, you tweeted claims such as, and they're quoting directly, Pizzagate may be bigger than we suspected. That was just days before a gunman targeted the restaurant.
Congratulations, Jack.
The threat level here is much higher than I thought it would be. The stuff that was going on is much worse than I thought it would be. And we were dealing with some high level stuff here, guys. We were doing some very high level stuff.
I'd have to look at that. I don't recall that.
It was high level stuff, guys. Just know. It sounds like Mike Johnson now. I know it seems like I went into a pizza place and showed you nothing and then got kicked out, but I just need you to know that it's high level. Where's Nick Shirley?
That's on my...
I mean, this is the Nick Shirley playbook. Get obsessed with something that you have no evidence for. Be loud about it. Have it amplified by a bunch of right-wingers, and then suddenly you're rich and you're making... I mean, Jack Pusovich makes a fucking fortune just lying on the internet.
Twitter.
You can't both
There are people here that have a lot of interests and a lot of money. So they have a big secret that they are trying to hide. and a
I have the sneaking suspicion the owners of Comet Pizza don't have a lot of money.
big secret that they are trying to keep under wraps because it could potentially blow the lid on Hillary Clinton, on John Podesta, on Tony Podesta.
It was an idea that I had to try to reach out to people who were wondering about this on the internet, to just go there, order some food, sit down with a friend, and show them it was a regular spot.
Guys, honestly,
That's what it seems like, right? That's what it seems. I want Randy's take on this. Fuzzgasm, fuck you. Fuck you. I had nightmares about Randy last night.
Put on some damn pizza.
I was not sold on the Comet Pizza theory before this.
And then you start seeing kids, you start
Yeah,
seeing back
the
rooms and
kids,
shit.
the kids and the back rooms.
And I'm being honest. That's why I went there. That's why I went in, to show people that it was a regular place.
This was crazy. This was really
just with impunity. They just lie with impunity. They do not care.
Weird. This was really, really weird. Yeah, this was.
Oh my God! The composer for Toy Story was Randy Newman. Another Randy. It all fits. That's true, Greg. This is the day. And Randy Newman famously lived where? In the Gates. He's the original Barbarian.
Like next level stuff.
Are you saying prosobi? No. Mark in Phoenix. It's Pusabich. I know it looks like Prosobiac, Posobiec, but it's Pusabich. You would want to say Posobiec because that's how the letters normally would go together, and that's how you would I guess normally enunciate it. But I've checked with Jack Pusabich, and he said it is indeed Pusabich. So I'm just doing what he's asked me to do. All right. Well, there he is. A lot of truth telling happening from the Republicans right now. Ton of that. I want to talk about some of the. I'm going to skip ahead to number 10. We had a couple confirmation hearings this morning, and we'll have more clips tomorrow. We have not only Jay Clayton, who is supposed to, I think, is up for national intelligence, but also Todd Blanche, who's obviously up for attorney general. This was Jay Clayton with John Ossoff, and I think some others in this clip as well. It did not go well for Jay Clayton. I don't think Trump's going to be very happy with Jay Clayton. And every once in a while, we come across these people in MAGA world where they think they can stand up to the bright lights, where like it's hard. It's just hard to lie and look like a dumbass for Donald Trump. That's a hard thing to do. It's you got to really let go of your ego if you're going to look this stupid. And in order to be nominated and make it through the confirmation hearing for Donald Trump, you're going to have to look this stupid.
Yes or no? Did the President of the United States pardon a convicted narco trafficker?
Yes.
Who won the 2020 election?
I'm not.
For the record, MAGA, did you know that? Did you know that Donald Trump pardoned a convicted narco trafficker? And that convicted narco trafficker came out of Jay Clayton's district? Did you guys know that? You knew that? Okay, good. Any thoughts on that?
I'm not going to do this with you.
This is a job interview. We've established that you have an obligation to be honest and forthright with the committee. Yes, you do have an obligation to be honest and forthright with the committee?
Yes.
Who won the 2020 election?
Like I said, I'm not going to get into that with you.
But you do have an obligation to be honest and forthright with the committee.
Is anything that I just said not honest or forthright?
Yes, you're not being honest or forthright. Who won the 2020 election?
I think I've answered the question. We can keep doing this.
Well, we're going to keep doing it because you're not being honest and forthright.
I'm not going to engage in the theater.
You are the theater, you dumb bitch. The theater is your boss saying, you can't admit that I lost. That's the theater. And this is like, it gets old. We've all seen it a million times, but I think it's a smart thing that Democrats do. I think it's important to have these people on the record forever and on camera refusing to just acknowledge something that everybody knows.
It's a simple question, Mr. Clayton.
And I've answered
Who
it.
won the 2020 presidential election?
I've answered it.
You're here asking for the support of senators to lead America's intelligence
Marty said, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up. Good reminder. Thanks, Marty.
community. We've established that you have an obligation to be honest and forthright with this committee and with the American public, but you refuse to answer a simple matter of fact about the 2020 election. Is that right?
No, that's not right.
Then answer the question. Who won the
I have
2020
answered.
election?
I have answered the question.
Answer it. What is your answer?
I've given you my answer.
What is your answer?
Both sides do it. So what is your point? Nope. Robert, you have to find, you have 30 seconds to give me an example of one time a person who was up for confirmation denied election results. And if not, you have to say sorry. So Robert, your next comment either needs to be the name of somebody who was up for confirmation that denied election results, or I'm sorry, both sides don't do it. Thank you.
You refuse to answer a basic question about who won a presidential election,
No,
but you asked to lead America's intelligence community? Isn't it humiliating to be unable to answer this question, to have to indulge the president's delusions? We know, you know, everybody in this room knows the truthful answer to that.
Everybody knows, even MAGA, that you're here right now, where you're aiming your anger at me. You know too. You're not going to say it, but just pretend it's me and you right now. And this is a rhetorical question. You know what they're doing. The only reason you're uncomfortable right now, the only reason you're saying anything other than this is insane, is because it's your guy. But you know how silly this is. You know how pathetic and spineless these people are. You know that they are beholden to Daddy Trump, and you are too. And I think there's just part of you that's like, oh, I've given up all of my own personal opinions and integrity for Donald Trump. Everybody else should have to do it too. This feels like home.
Question, why can you not give it?
I think I gave you the answer.
Are you aware that Director Gabbard was present at the Fulton County raid in Georgia earlier this year?
You discussed that with me yesterday in your office.
Are you aware?
No, nobody, Robert, nobody. Give me one example of somebody who was, again, I'll ask the question again, Robert. One person during a confirmation hearing who denied the results of the, I guess you're talking about the 2016 election. Just name one person.
That Director Gabbard was present.
Robert, I have to mute you. You have to name the person, or you have to say I'm sorry, or we have to mute you. The next, you have 3 comments left. Within the next 3 comments, you have to name a name or say I'm sorry, or else we got to mute you for the rest of the live. Okay, we got to protect the integrity here.
At the Fulton County raid earlier this year.
You brought it to me, my attention.
What is going on here? You've said at the beginning of this you have an obligation to be honest and forthright with the committee. I'm asking a very simple question. Are you aware that Director Gabbard was present at the Fulton County raid earlier this year? Yes or no? Are you aware?
I was.
You won't answer that question either.
I just said I was made aware of it by you yesterday.
The first time you learned that
Ketanji Brown had posted Trump was not legitimate. Try again. 2 more.
Director Gabbard was present at that raid was in my office yesterday?
It was the first time that in my recollection I've thought about it recently. Now, was I aware of it before?
What?
There's no record of Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown ever calling Donald Trump an illegitimate president. Looks like you made that up.
I mean, you brought it to my attention yesterday.
Okay.
I had not thought.
So you had not known
I had
until...
I had not thought about it until you brought it to my attention yesterday.
Your answers lack credibility. Your testimony lacks credibility. You're being evasive and you're not being candid or forthright. And everybody across the country is going to watch this and know.
All right, mute Robert for the rest of the live. Thanks, Robert. Good try. Sorry, bud. You had to say, oh, you have one more. I'm sorry, or a name.
Know that. Are you aware that former Director Gabbard testified that her presence at the raid was, quote, requested by the president?
I'm not aware of that until now.
Okay, you are now aware of that.
Yeah.
Are you aware that members of this committee are already probing Director Gabbard's potential misconduct in this matter?
Somewhere Mike Johnson just muttered, probe me.
No, I'm not privy to your probe into.
Are you aware that the General Counsel and Deputy General Counsel of your office have already provided testimony to this committee regarding this matter?
No.
If the White House Chief of Staff or the President asks you to travel somewhere across the United States and oversee the execution of a domestic search warrant on a sensitive election facility, will you do it? Is that appropriate? Is that appropriate for the Director of National Intelligence?
That's a hypothetical.
Yeah, no shit, dude. It's a hypothetical question. I love when they say that's a hypothetical. Yeah, that's what we're testing, right? How else would we know what you will and will not do unless it's a hypothetical? That's the only way we could get an answer. Of course, that's a hypothetical. We know what it is. Would you mind answering? MAGA in the chat. We don't want answers. Just keep Donald Trump's dick in your mouth.
We all know it's not appropriate.
Senator
for the
Ossoff, your
Director of
time is
National
expired.
Intelligence. Will you answer the question?
Your time is expired.
Big W, Trudy in the chat for the $50 in the super chat said, fuck Robert and all MAGA. Goddamn, it was worth it.
Will you give him the opportunity to answer the question? Is this not material right now, sir? Is it appropriate for the Director of National Intelligence to oversee the execution of domestic search warrants at sensitive election facilities? Yes or no?
I think you're asking me, as you just said in your first comment to me.
Yes or no, is it appropriate?
Look,
No?
you are asking me to comment on a matter that you just said was under investigation.
No, I'm asking you.
Okay, Senator Ossoff, your time is expired.
So I want to ask a follow-up question to the Vice Chairman.
That should be. Shouldn't you want your Republican folks to answer that question? Again, when it's Democrats, you can come back when Democrats are putting through nominees. I'll do the same thing. I did this exact same. We got in a little bit of a tiff last week when I did the same exact thing with Rep. Abdul Sayed, because I didn't think he was giving good answers. And that's somebody who I agree with almost 100% of the time. That's somebody I like. That's somebody I think you should vote for. We did this with him as well. So let's not pretend that that this is a partisan thing. If you're going to be here in this chat, I would love to have conservatives here every single day. I'd love for you to engage in our chat every single day. I'm just going to ask you to play honestly. You can have a different opinion, but at some point, we've got to start being people that can agree on facts so that we can have a debate.
And who won the 2020 election?
I've answered that question. I'm not going to get into that.
He hasn't answered the question.
You have not answered that question. Could you answer the question? Who won the 2020 election? Pretty simple question.
Yeah, I said I'm my answer. No, I'm going to give you the same answer. The answer to the chairman was, he asked me if I was an election denier. I am not an election denier. Joe Biden was certified as
we all know
president.
Joe Biden
He went through his process. We went through our electoral process, and I can tell you that I was in my seat at the SEC. And
I'm just
worked
asking
hard
a
for the
really
transition.
simple question. Who won the 2020 election?
There's so many extra words. Just answer, please.
As I said to you, we went through our processes, and Joe Biden became the president of the United States. And that's
not an answer to the question of who. I'm asking one more time.
Okay.
Who won the 2020 election?
I'm not. This is like I'm just not.
And again, like this is what sucks. I get that this is all kind of a game. And if you're MAGA, you're probably fucking tired of seeing this question every time because we know what the answer is going to be. It's not like anybody is ever surprised by these answers. I get that, but it's an exercise in honesty and integrity. And this is a pretty simple litmus test. Are you willing to say something objectively true that the president doesn't want you to say? And if you are, then we're going to be able to, we can conclude that you will be independent of the executive branch. That's what this litmus test is for. They want to know, like, are you going to do the right thing, or are you going to do what he says? And effectively what all of them are saying is we are going to do what he says.
I'm here to talk about my qualifications.
One of your qualifications is you told us you're going to tell the truth to power, and you won't answer a very simple question.
I think I've answered it many times.
You have not answered it.
Okay.
You have not answered it. Saying Joe Biden was certified is not an answer.
So can you tell me why Joe Biden was certified as the winner of the 2020 election?
I'm going back to my constitutional law here, but I don't want to continue to have a debate about this, but I believe he had the most electoral votes.
Oh,
so he won the election.
He followed our process, had the most electoral votes, was declared the winner.
I don't love Mark Kelly all the time. I love him here.
And who has the most electoral votes? Is it the person that wins or the person that loses?
I think that's your characterization. I'm not going to continue.
It's not a characterization. This is the only way you can get this answer. It is embarrassing. It is. What do you mean that's your characterization? How do you win a presidential nomination in this country? You win the electoral college. You get more electoral votes than the other person. That's your characterization. It's also exactly what happens.
The reason why we struggle with this, and I think it's especially important in the job you're nominated for, is because it seems that folks who are nominated for these positions just fundamentally refuse to disagree with something the president says.
Fundamentally, you're kind of bitches, you know. And I don't even say it angrily anymore. You guys are gonna get mad about this. My audience is gonna get mad about this. I'm starting to feel a little bit of sympathy because it's so hard to watch. And trying to be empathetic, put myself in those shoes. Imagine being so afraid of somebody that you sit in front of cameras and in front of the nation and lie about something you know everybody knows you're lying about. It takes me back to being in a cult. I know. See, I told you, you're going to be mad. You should lock that shit up. It's just like, I don't know. Like, I feel like, at this point, I just am reminded of all these people I know growing up who are still, they know what they're saying is bullshit. They know it, and they can't let it go. There's just something inside of them that is like, I'm going down with the ship. And that's what everybody's decided to do. It's not real sympathy for the, see, I told you guys, they would get very upset. I don't really give a fuck. It's just a job, and they're lying for the job anyways. But the sympathy of like lying in front of people. I used to go door to door and tell people that Joseph Smith found an angel showed him where a book made of gold plates was buried. And then he took those golden plates that were written in Reformed Egyptian and through the power of God transcribed them into English. And they were like, yeah, bro, that didn't fucking happen. I was like, yeah, it did. You want to know how you find out? But pray about it. No, don't Google, don't fucking Google it. Don't Google it. Pray about it. Think common sense, goddammit. Use your feelings. No, don't Google about his child brides. Don't do that. Don't Google about how he tried to kill the governor of Missouri. Don't do any of that stuff. Just pray about it and listen to your heart. So like I've been there. I've been the idiot standing in front of people that are like, bro, that's just so obviously wrong. I'm like, no, it's good. No, the Mormons were protecting black people when they wouldn't give them the priesthood till 1978. It wasn't that they were racist. They were protecting them. No, that wasn't it. They're like, bro, it was 1978. You could be black and have and hold a position of power in a church. It wasn't illegal. Like we were long past that. Not me. I'm still the idiot. Like, you don't understand. Let me, kid from Utah, explain to you what civil rights was all about.
And the problem I have with this,
no sympathy for a Nazi. I know. I told you guys would be mad.
Is he isn't in the room.
It's just hold on. Just for 1 second though, have some sympathy for me or some empathy for me. I feel bad for people in cults. I was in a cult. That's it. This is my own problem. My sympathy or empathy comes from my own trauma. So just give me that.
Today, you're going to be in a room with him many times. And at times, you should have a difference of opinion. And if you can't disagree with him when he's not in the room, are you going to be able to disagree with him when you're sitting across from him in the Oval Office?
Hell no. Hell no. Of course not.
Or the Situation Room. That's what I struggle with, because this job is different. This job, it's not about softening the...
Joseph Smith was called a prophet. Dum, da-dum, dum, dum. I think that's what that is.
The edges when the truth is unpleasant. It's about delivering information. and making sure that
There were a lot of sworn affidavits in the 2020 election, something like 500. Why? People, if you go read through those affidavits, which I know you haven't, Mark, you should go read through them and read the claims in those affidavits. They're things like, I saw a truck come in and unload boxes of ballots. I swear that this is true. Yeah, that happened. That was part of the problem. They're all swearing to shit that was like true. Not one of them was swearing to like an affidavit to. There were some where they're like, I saw people trashing ballots, and then they have actual video footage of people not like in the time they said that they saw it, and you can see the video footage, and nobody's doing that. People lied, and also people were testifying to things they didn't understand. You're welcome, Mark. Next time you have to pay for my opinion, though.
president understands that information. And by the way, people risk their lives to get this information. And if it's not transmitted to the president, if he doesn't understand it, I mean, there's going to be disagreements. We expect that. But I really struggle with this, especially in your position, because you can't disagree with him on this, because he doesn't like the fact that he lost in 2020. As you said, Joe Biden was certified because he got the most electoral votes. That means he won. But you still refuse to say that.
And I was sitting at the SEC when this occurred, and I can tell you that maybe people worked harder.
Hold on, what?
And I was sitting at the SEC when this occurred, and I can tell you that maybe people worked harder.
Is he saying maybe a people worked harder? Does anybody know what he's saying there?
When this occurred, and I can tell you that maybe people worked harder.
I don't know. I am on Cameo. Incredible Drone. Thanks. It's mostly MAGA dads asking for me to demean them. You're welcome over on my Cameo.
But I don't think anybody I know worked harder to make an effective transition to my successor at the SEC.
Mr. Clayton, for your testimony today.
Mr. Chairman, do we have time for any follow-up questions?
No. There's not second.
Tom Cotton. I forgot this part. Tom Cotton got so fucking mad. This went horrible for Jay Clayton, and Tom Cotton was mad as hell.
Round the Capitol Police.
Oh, does it not show captions? I can put on closed captions.
Police will receive the annoying or remove the annoying lunatic from the crowd.
Mr. Clayton is aiding Israel in laundering money through World Liberty Financial and the digital asset infrastructure. And this committee knows it.
Where is the moment?
I apologize to lunatics for comparing that guy to them.
Boom, roasted.
Mr. Clayton, thank you for your testimony today. As a reminder, we expect to have a vote next week. Members, questions for the records will be due today at 5:30. Mr. Clayton, I trust you can respond to those no later than 5:30 on Friday. This hearing is adjourned.
Tom Cotton had enough. This man doesn't know where Singapore. That is a good callback. That's fuck. We could show it. I do think it's important to remember that. Maybe just because one person in here is like, half of the left doesn't know what gender they are. That's not true. We know what gender we are. You just don't understand gender. I posted this on my story. Let me find this actually. While I'm trying to find this, just a reminder, guys, we are crowd-funded. And if you can help us knock out that gift goal by the end of the live, that would be greatly appreciated. Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App are the way to go, as well as Super Chats. And I'll read damn near anything that you read. Let's see if I can find this video real fast. I may have to look for it. Damn, I'm not going to be able to find it. All right, we'll move on. Let's go here. All right. Then we get to Todd Blanche, who is interviewing to be the attorney general, despite being Donald Trump's personal attorney, and also despite covering up the Epstein files. He was introduced by Chuck Grassley, who is 198,000 years old. Don't recommend We Aren't Crying. We're fact-checking your cult. Yeah, good point. He's got to go. I don't know. This is the best argument I've seen for cognitive testing ever. If I was Todd Blanche, I wouldn't be thrilled about this introduction.
As sure as sunrise, today some of my Democrat colleagues will tell
That was Democrat colleagues.
us that Mr. Branch
That's Mr. Branch.
is uniquely terrible nominee. Before they do so, however, I urge them to remember the boy who cried wolf and take a long...
What's that mean? What is the boy who cried wolf? What are you talking about? This is how MAGA works, and this is the beauty of how a cult operates. They say shit like this all the time. They're like, you said this about Kavanaugh. You said this about Trump. They always say, yeah, you said Trump's campaign worked with Russia. They did. You said that Trump wanted a quid pro quo from Ukraine. He did. You said Donald Trump was a criminal. He is. You said he tried to overthrow the 2020 election. He did. And they just all say like these things aren't true. So now like it's not the boy who cried wolf. It's that you guys keep getting eaten by wolves. Like your family keeps getting eaten by wolves. And you're like, hey, that wolf just ate your fucking kid. And you're like, no, I have 4 kids. You're like, no, you have 5 kids. Nope, I have 4 kids. And then the next day the wolf comes back and we're like, hey, the wolf is eating your kids. And you're like, no, there's all 3 of my kids. And you're like, you had 5 kids. Then yesterday you said I had 4 kids. Now you're down to 3. No, I always said I had 3 kids. And then we show up the next day and we're like, the fucking wolf is eating your kids. And you're like, no, both of my kids, my 2 kids are right here. But yesterday you had 3 kids. And then the wolf shows up again, eats your kid. And you're like, no, I have 1 child. What are you talking about? And then finally, like, we never even had children. We never wanted to. We can't have children. And the wolf ate all 5 of your children. And you're like, what wolf? What children? I don't know anything about wolves or children. Wolves or children. It's not crying wolf. You guys just keep pretending shit that happens didn't happen.
Who cried wolf and take a long look in the mirror before lecturing anyone about partisanship.
Then you take the long look in the mirror and you look back at your husband who has his arms wrapped around you and you think, my goodness, those are some hairy arms. Did he grow hair on his arms overnight? And you turn around and you're like, God damn, my husband looks an awful lot like a fucking wolf in human clothes. And then he eats you. And then that's it. And then your family goes, we never had a daughter, or she never had any kids. In fact, that wolf is our son. The wolf's just eating the whole thing. Like, what wolf?
At the Justice Department. As sure as
one more time, just so you can hear his words, though.
Sunrise. Today, some of my Democrat colleagues.
Yeah, the fucking Democrats. What can you get at a Democrat? If you pulled up to a Democrat, what could you get? I know you could get some strongly worded letters. That would be good. Probably get a pamphlet on APAC funding. That'd be good. A burrito. We would have better food. I do think that the Democrats would have better food. If you go to the Republicart, you're probably just going to have hot dogs. But we'd have like the dirty water hot dogs though, right? And what was the nominee's name again for Attorney General?
Will tell us that Mr. Branch.
Todd Blanche. That's right. Here's Todd Blanche now talking to Dick Durbin. Doesn't go well. Dick Durbin. Let me say this about Todd Blanche. There's a lot of clips that go around about Todd Blanche, and this is what Republicans are going to lean on. He's a really fucking good attorney. He's much smarter than I thought he was. The more I listen to him and the more I process his answers, the more I realize that Todd Blanche might be the best person Trump has ever put up for attorney general in terms of intelligence. He is he might be the smartest guy in the room in the Trump administration all the time. He is intelligent. And some of the things that he does, like, he can get away with because he is acting within the law. Like, some of the things that they ask him to do, like they ask him to condemn Trump's use of the pardons. Well, it's actually the right thing for him to do, to not take a position on whether or not that pardon was okay. Right? Because his job's to enforce the law. And Trump can pardon whoever the fuck he wants because he's the president. It's a dumb fucking law. But the right answer from Todd Blanche when asked his opinion on these pardons is probably not to opine on those pardons. So there's a lot of questions in here where Democrats try and trap him with those types of questions. And I think he's actually doing the right thing by not offering his opinion. But there's a few times when it becomes very clear that he's lying for Donald Trump.
Thank you much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Blanche, I have a few questions I'd like to ask you. Is it not true that Congress had to pass a law requiring the Trump administration to disclose the Epstein files? The Epstein Files Transparency Act passed by bipartisan roll calls in the House and Senate to finally get the files made public?
President Trump signed that law.
Yeah,
Yes.
of course he did. After overwhelming numbers of the House members and Senate members voted for it on a
important context. Trump threatened everybody. Eventually, there was too much support for the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and Trump was forced to sign it. He doesn't get credit for that.
bipartisan basis because the administration would not voluntarily produce these documents. Now, I've mentioned
that's not true.
Well, what part of it isn't true?
We were prohibited by law from producing those documents. This is a Judiciary Committee. There are laws that did not allow us to produce those documents, which we made plain in numerous court filings. So
that's true. That's true. We did need to have a discharge petition. We did need Congress to pass a law, and then they did. Because there was still for a long time, you'd have to have a request and you'd have to have a reason or an executive order. Like the DOJ can't just release that. Trump would have had to do an executive order, or Congress would have to compel the release. But Todd Blanche couldn't do that. So it's true that that Donald Trump had to be compelled, but the DOJ can't just do it on their own. Right? Unless I'm missing something. I don't know if we have any attorneys here. My understanding is that you can't do it on your own. Trump could have, though. Yes, Trump could have issued an executive order. And if Congress disagreed with that executive order, they could pass a law, or the courts could rule that that executive order was unenforceable. But Todd Blanche could not have done it. And he wasn't even the attorney general. Pam Bondi couldn't have on her own. You can grab Attorney D. I just don't know of any law that would allow the attorney general to just proactively release those types of files. I don't think that is something allowed in their purview. But yeah, ask D. You can ask her if there's any lawyers here. Buddy said, to keep the lights on, thank you. Curious Red Monster said, Grassley was born the same year FM radio was invented. Is that real? What year was FM radio invented? Robert didn't answer your question. Why is he here? I thought we got rid of Robert. Is he still here? Yeah, we can mute Robert. There's two different Roberts, or maybe Robert has two accounts. I'm not sure. Mods, will you look into that? Thank you very much.
President Trump had said from day one to release the files, even when he was running.
He was born in 1933. What year was FM radio invented? Does anybody have that?
And so, yes, he signed it into law and we complied with it.
I remember, and everyone in the audience remembers, the links that the administration went through to delay production of these documents.
1935 is when FM radio. Oh, Jesus Christ, he was born before FM radio. That's crazy.
To the point where Congress did an extraordinary thing, discharge motion in the House to bring this matter before them and vote on a bipartisan basis to compel your administration to disclose those documents.
Robert 3170 was not the Robert I was talking to. That's why this Robert's still here.
Talk to you for a moment about the survivors who are in the room. There are 10 individuals who were exploited and abused by Mr. Epstein. They are here today. None of them have had a chance to speak to anyone in the department or FBI, though they've asked repeatedly. So can I get your word under oath that within the next 30 days, you will personally sit down with these 10 victims and hear their case in terms of what needs to be done by
Dolphin, ask D too, because I have another question here. I'm gonna pull up the justice.gov, the resources I have, but it might be good if she's here, or if Law of the Wild's around, and maybe they can let me know if I'm right on this interpretation.
The Department of Justice.
Chairman, I appreciate them being here today. I also have somebody from my office who's spent her entire career working on cases like Mr. Epstein's. She's in charge of our task force investigating human trafficking. She's available to talk to them.
She can sit right next to you. She can sit right next to you when you meet with these survivors.
I have never said I will not meet with survivors.
Will you meet with these 10 survivors? I'm asking you on the record.
If they have lawyers, as you know, I'm prohibited from meeting directly with them.
I don't think that this is true. I looked this up. He's asking Todd Blanche to meet with the victims. He is claiming that if the victims have lawyers, he can't meet with them. Let me first give you when I searched what AI gave me, and then let me take you to the source so that you guys can, let's see, it's actually on my phone. Then you guys can tell me if I'm missing something. It is possible to get the wrong answers through AI if you ask the wrong question, but let me pull this, oops. Oh, how do I pull up my history? I don't know how to pull up my history on this damn thing. This isn't good. Son of a bitch. I thought to myself, I'll just pull this up live and then read it, and now I don't know how to do that. Well, great. Let me show you what I got. Basically, what it told me is that there is no such law that they could find that said that if you have hired an attorney that you are that you can't meet with the attorney general, and it pointed to the Crime Victims' Rights Act. And here's the rights of crime victims. So you have the right to be reasonably protected from the accused. You have the right to reasonable, accurate, and timely notice of any public court proceeding or any parole proceeding. The part that matters is down here, number 5. You have the right, the reasonable right to confer with the attorney for the government in the case. And then I don't see anything in here that says anything about whether or not you have an attorney. I don't see, this is just their rights. In any court proceeding involving an offense against a crime victim, the court shall ensure that the crime victim is afforded the rights described in subsection A before making a determination described in subsection A3. The court shall make every effort to permit the fullest attendance possible of the victim and shall consider reasonable alternatives. His best efforts, enforcements, and limitations. I didn't see anything in here that said that he can't meet with the victims if they have an attorney. Is D? Did anybody check with D? Plot twist: he can't meet with them because he's one of their abusers. I mean, maybe. No problem meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell. Well, yeah, of course, but he would argue that she wasn't one of the victims of ongoing prosecution. Waiting on an answer. Yeah, let me know if you get an answer on that. I couldn't find anything, and AI couldn't find anything for me. Ask Maud. Yeah, somebody messaged Maud. See if she can take a break from door dashing to give us some legal opinion here. Anyways, I think what Todd Blanche there is saying there is wrong. I don't think he's telling the truth there, and I don't expect the members that are questioning him to know that either. He says, "As you know," and that's not the opinion that I got when I searched for it. I don't think that what he's saying is true.
I have met with counsel for survivors, as has many people in the Department of Justice, over 30. But if they are represented by counsel, we will work with their counsel. If they don't have a lawyer, I will certainly make arrangements to make sure the right people at the Department of Justice meet with them. Absolutely.
Will you get it done within the next 30 days that each
I
of
will
these
get it done
survivors?
today, if that's necessary. I mean, my point is there's somebody here who can meet with them today, get their information, and arrange to meet with them.
I think you ought to be in the room.
Pardon me?
I think you ought to be in the room because you ought to hear this. You had singular responsibility for these files. There was a delay in meeting the statutory requirement of disclosure. You were involved in that. I think you ought to be part of this.
I am definitely part of it, and I have been from day one.
And it will be done within the next 30 days?
I can keep on repeating myself, but I said it could get done as soon as today. It could have gotten done last week. We remain available to meet with any victim or their representative.
Bruce Wayne's mother said, I think it's because he's still acting as Trump's personal attorney and he knows Trump is in the files. Yeah, I mean, he's not supposed to be, but he might be viewing it that way. I don't see any reason why he can't meet with them. They don't have open cases against Epstein. I think a lot of them, the statute of limitations has expired. I don't know of any of those 10 that have open cases.
Anytime.
Adam Kinzinger did a vid on this. Trump cult's intoxicating for power?
Notify the committee when you've done this.
That would be prohibited by law.
Why not have the victims deposed on video, and then he could review? Deposed for what? They want to talk to him. They're upset with him. He released their information. He put them at risk. And they want him to release all the files that he's keeping back. They want to talk to him because they have been hurt by him, and they want to tell him about stuff that hasn't been released. Why in the world what are you doing? Who said that, by the way? Steve? Why have them deposed? Yeah, let's make the victims go through more. Let's make them be deposed, and then Todd Blanche can review the videos without any pushback. Good Lord. Like, being a victim in this country when there's conservatives that exist fucking sucks. Can we just make it easy for victims? Can we just give them half the fucking respect that Ghislaine Maxwell got? Could we err on their side for once instead of erring on the side of the pedophiles? There's a lot of prominent people listed in those files. Here's the olive branch for you, Robert. There's a lot of prominent people listed in those files. This audience is only interested in Trump. Trump lives rent free in your head. Respectfully, shut the fuck up, dude. You don't know anything about this audience. We've covered the Epstein files in depth for weeks, and most of what we covered wasn't Trump. Like 90% of it wasn't Trump. In fact, the part about Trump that I'm most interested in, because I think that it's going to be hard to prove the abuse. Like, we have the stories there. It's going to be hard to produce anything that is going to convict anybody of abuse. I want the stories to be heard. But like what's scary about Trump, and it's not just Trump, is how much of a reach Jeffrey Epstein had into members of our government. And how our government operates, and how they use people like Epstein use blackmail to get the things that they want. Like, I want to uncover the corruption. These victims will never be made whole, ever. They probably can't press charges because they're well outside of the statute of limitations. They may be able to sue the trust. They're not going to be able to do anything to Donald Trump. Donald Trump will avoid prosecution about this forever. He'll never go to court for any of this stuff. But he was the president, and those emails between Jeffrey Epstein and Steve Bannon are wild. And Bannon was working for Trump during that time. So Epstein was getting fed inside information from Bannon. There's some interesting stuff in there. Okay, Robert, but so what our biggest frustration with Donald Trump, and hopefully you can see it from at least I'll just speak from my perspective. Let's take the part about the people who accuse Trump of sexual abuse, and let's just set those aside for a minute with the understanding that he's probably never going to be prosecuted for that. And so any discussion we have on those victims it's going to come down to a matter of opinion, and I would imagine that most Trump people aren't going to ever even get close to the idea that Trump is an abuser. So let's take the parts of when Trump was president and the actions he's taken as president. He threatened all of the Republicans in his party not to release these files. He publicly threatened them. When it became apparent that his public threats were so unpopular that he didn't have the leverage that he thought he had. By the way, leverage he had for a long time. Republicans in Congress shelved this forever. They wouldn't bring it out of committees. The reason Massey had to do a discharge petition is because normally this type of stuff has to go through committee, and Republicans were obstructing it. They wouldn't vote it through committee to get to the floor. And so it was just being shelved. And that was at the direction of Mike Johnson. And then once Massey said, we're going to do a discharge petition, Mike Johnson said, everybody go home for summer break early. They went home like 2 days early. And then they took, I think it was like 6 weeks off. And then they came back and they just kept delaying it and delaying it and delaying it. Mike Johnson wouldn't bring it to the floor for a vote. Eventually they were forced to vote on it. And then everybody was forced to be like, yeah, dude, I'm not putting my name next to, let's not release this. And then Trump was forced to sign it. And then they had, was it 30 or 60 days? I think it was 30 days They were nowhere close to releasing the Epstein files on time. And then when the Epstein files got released, they were heavily redacted in ways that they were not allowed to be redacted. And they were missing files all over the place. But ironically enough, like a bunch of these prominent accusers had their names and information leaked. It wasn't blacked out. Trump's name was blacked out a ton. A ton. Lots of Trump stuff was blacked out. But these victims' names weren't. And those victims deserve to confront Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi and say, what the fuck? How did you guys fuck this up so bad that Donald Trump, who's not allowed to be redacted, is redacted? But the victims, who, like, your only instruction was to make sure that the victims' names and personal information and any identifying information is redacted. Those people's names were not taken care of. Those names were put out there, the living victims. But Donald Trump was redacted? They deserve that. The best light that you could paint any Donald Trump, Todd Blanche, and Pam Bondi, and I mean absolutely best light, and even then it's probably too charitable, is that they were incompetent. But even then, good luck making that argument, because they kept erring on the side of Donald Trump. They've released just over half of the files that they have. And Todd Blanche is saying, everything that we have is duplicative. Everything that is out there, we've released. The stuff we haven't released is duplicative. Who cares? We'll look at the duplicative stuff. But then the victims are saying it's not duplicative. We know for a fact that some of our testimony and our evidence is being suppressed. We know for a fact that some of the things we have said and statements that we have given to the FBI and to the prosecutors is being suppressed, and it is not in these documents. And Todd Blanche just keeps going before Congress and going, nope, they're lying. And we're just supposed to trust Todd Blanche. Tom, if you can stay with me here, why in the world would we accept the argument that they're duplicative? If there is some sort of argument here right now that, like, one side is saying, hey, I know there's stuff in there you haven't released, and the other side is saying, they're not, trust us, they're just copies. That's what duplicative means. They're just copies of the stuff we've already released. Then it seems pretty obvious that the way that we fix this problem is to release everything. And then we'll know for sure if it's duplicative. If it's duplicative, that doesn't hurt anybody. That just makes it harder to search. If there's new information, then we know that Todd Blanche is lying. There's a real easy way for him to prove that he's not lying. Nobody gets hurt if it's duplicative. Right? That's the frustration that we have, Tom, like from a legal perspective. I know that you guys want to dismiss this as Trump derangement syndrome. I think you use that as a way to ignore the fact that it's pretty obvious that they're covering this up. I think it's duplicative, isn't it? Am I using the wrong word? Duplicative, involving a copy, repetition, or unnecessary overlap. Yeah, I'm using it correctly. It's duplicative. I think I was using that word right.
If they're talking about an ongoing investigation.
I'm asking you if you'll notify the committee that you met with the survivors.
It depends on what they said. I'm not sure I'm allowed to notify you if there's an ongoing investigation.
Well, you're dancing on the head of a pin here.
I'm not dancing on any pin
You
at
have
all.
these survivors who have the courage to come before this committee, have the courage to tell their terrible stories, how they were exploited. Don't you think it's important that we have a prompt response by our government to these survivors?
Absolutely. And there will be a prompt response. My heart breaks for every survivor, every victim of Mr. Epstein.
I don't think any Republican here believes that his heart breaks for the Epstein survivors. I think you guys know. You cannot go and give a sweetheart deal to Ghislaine Maxwell and sit here with a straight face and say, my heart breaks for the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein. You can't have both of those arguments. What do you mean? Pretty obvious is no, we're not dragging people through the mud. We're asking for transparency, Robert. If you want this to go away, you should demand the exact same thing we are. If you want it to be definitive, whether or not Trump's involved, how much he's involved, what the extent of his relationship was, you should want the same thing we do. Every MAGA here, if Trump is who you say he is, if Todd Blanche is actually this knight in shining armor, then what are you afraid of? Why are you not advocating for full transparency? You know the answer. The answer is because Trump doesn't want to, and you don't know how to disagree with him. That's the real answer. He's broken a lot of you. I'm not going to say that I have sympathy for you again because I'll get in trouble. Just a reminder, guys, we are crowdfunded. If you want to help us out, we have a gift goal every single day, and Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, and Super Chats are the way to go. I'll read anything that you write, and in advance, thank you guys for your support.
Absolutely, and I would love to prosecute anybody that did any harm to these
Will you
victims.
meet with
So
them
absolutely.
within the next 30 days? The last time I asked a question, you can say yes
I
or
can
no.
keep on answering it
Jabari, ask your question in the chat again. I'll watch for it.
the same way. I can meet with them. My staff will meet with them. We have a staff member here
If you
today
can
who
meet with them, will you meet
specializes-
with them?
I'm not sure what you're looking for me to say. As I said,
Yes, is what I'm looking for.
there are, if they're represented by counsel, I'm not allowed to meet with them directly, as you know. I assure you, the FBI, who are experts in this space, prosecutors who are experts in this space, and me, if necessary, will absolutely meet with them. I promise you this.
I think
this has been like 6 months, though, of them promising to meet with them, and they still haven't met with them. Pam Bondi promised to meet with them. I want to get to the truth, but do it the right way. This is the right. That would be the right way, though, right, Robert? The right way would be for the law to be followed, and they just release everything, right? Did you cover that the FBI admitted in a lawsuit that they have a redaction training video on Trump's name? I saw that headline. Jen, will you find that? If you're read Jabari's comment, I saw that this morning, and I was planning on getting into it tomorrow. I saved it, but I didn't read it yet.
I will stay updated and know everything that's happening with any
You
victim.
guys are on the financial struggle bus. That's true, Robert. Due to Donald Trump's policies, it's a little harder to raise funds than it used to be. But you seem like you're doing well, Robert, and thanks for being here. Free entertainment. You could pay for the entertainment once in a while.
That has information about any other people that work with Epstein that committed any crimes with Epstein, absolutely.
Well, if you're truly committed to extraordinary transparency and you're willing to meet with these victims, I hope you will do it immediately, or we're going to hold you to it. I want to ask you about the immunity provisions that you signed relative to the...
All right, let's see. What is this? This is from New Republic. This is what Jabari was talking about. Jen just sent to me. FBI forced to reveal new details on how it redacted the Epstein files. Last spring, it was rumored that agents with the FBI were trained to redact portions of the Epstein files before the documents became public. On Sunday, agency officials admitted to the scheme. Oh, wait a minute. They were lying about that? It took independent journalist and award-winning podcaster Allison Gill a Freedom of Information Act request and a subsequent lawsuit against the government to obtain evidence that the Bureau had specifically trained its investigators to scrub the Epstein files clean. On Sunday, Gill received a stunning admission from the FBI confirming that the training videos, which were never released as part of the legal mandate, do in fact exist. Numerous federal agents from both the FBI and Justice Department have shared their experiences of participating in the censorship effort, recounting how they would sometimes be locked in the building for 24 to 48-hour shifts to review hundreds of thousands of files, videos, and photos related to Jeffrey Epstein's child sex trafficking ring. One of the things agents were reportedly instructed to redact was mentions of Donald Trump's name. Tom, what's up, buddy? I'd like to know what you think about this. As a Trump supporter, someone who's accusing people of Trump derangement syndrome, the FBI is admitting that they were redacting mentions of Trump. How do we square that? I did cover it when it was happening, but now they've admitted it. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Okay, let's see if I can find the report. Jen, can you find the actual report or the confirmation from the FBI? See if you can find that for Robert. Robert, if I find the actual confirmation from the FBI, will you admit it? Or is there just no scenario where you're going to admit that the FBI did this? All right. They confided in me that there existed an unclassified SharePoint site where a PowerPoint deck lived, and that the PowerPoint deck had training videos embedded in it, instructing them on how to find and log and mark Trump's name and other information for redaction. The Bureau's Information Management Division was predominantly tasked with censoring the documents, despite the fact that the unit has not historically been used to scrub documents for publication. So the FBI had to create specialized training videos for the agents instructing them how to use an Excel spreadsheet to log Trump's name, the page number, and the document. Even still, Trump was mentioned more than 38,000 times in the initial release of the Epstein files. His name also appeared in the FBI tip sheet listing abuse allegations, in which one unknown source accuses Trump of forcing one of Epstein's victims, presumed to be 13 or 14 years old at the time, to perform oral sex on him approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. Okay. Jen, will you look and see if you can find where did she release? Looks like she did a FOIA request. FBI confirm that.
I'm looking for it.
Okay, let me know if you find that. Thank you. Trudy said, follow Axe lead. Axe says, jump on the train, guys. Scenery is great. Thank you very much. And Everyday Insanity, thank you for the gifted subs. And a reminder to everybody else, you can join us as members and join us for movie nights every other Wednesday in Discord by becoming a paid member, either on YouTube, Twitch, or TikTok. And if you need help, mods can help you with that. Okay.
Responsibility and liability of the president and his family and their businesses when it comes to tax audits. Would you like to explain how we can give to the president and his family and businesses exemptions from complying with the tax laws of the United States?
It's not an exemption to comply with the tax laws of the United States. As part of the settlement, it was an agreement that any past audits would end.
Now, we talked about this yesterday. The judge in this case feels like she was deceived. And she said, you guys are not adverse parties. This doesn't make sense. Like, you're acting on behalf of the president while the president is suing you. You guys don't seem to have adverse goals here. Trump sued the IRS. So we're clear how this worked out. And feel free to explain this. Donald Trump's tax returns were leaked. Todd Blanche will say Donald Trump is the only president to have his tax returns leaked, and that is true. He's also the only president to refuse to release his tax returns, which does not give the IRS or anybody at the IRS authority to release his tax documents, because it's not required by law for the president to release his taxes. But it is true that Donald Trump is the only one to have them leaked. He's also the only one never to show his tax returns, which transparency, right? So Donald Trump then sued the IRS for $10 billion. Now, there's no scenario where you could say that the damages done to Donald Trump for having his tax returns leaked amount to $10 billion worth of damages. At the time, that would have been more than 10x his entire net worth. Of course, he wasn't going to get that. If you were going to settle with Donald Trump, perhaps like a multi-million-dollar settlement, I think we all would have. I think Donald Trump's probably entitled to something. I don't like it, but the law was broken. Some damage was done. He's probably entitled to something. But what they came up with is Donald Trump had his tax returns leaked. Therefore, we have to give $1.8 billion to the people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. And all of Donald Trump's taxes from this point going backwards can never be audited. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Why would we say that he can't be audited? Why would the government make that deal? There's no benefit for the government there. They're acting on our behalf. Why would the government say Donald Trump's taxes, any ongoing audits or audits that may occur from these years going backwards, he can't be audited? And his family, thank you, and his family. That doesn't make any fucking sense. That's why the judge was pissed. And the judge is like, you guys clearly aren't acting on behalf of the government. You're not acting on behalf of the American people. You're clearly doing Donald Trump a favor here.
The United States, your signature, the United States releases, waives, acquits, and forever discharges each of the plaintiffs when it comes to tax liability. That's how it reads. It's pretty sweeping. You don't believe that is a discharge forever from liability?
Of any past filings, yes.
All right.
Why would they cut that deal? Why would they possibly cut that deal? Lee, thank you. Big W in the chat for Lee. Sent $50 on Venmo and said, Robert, this is for you to ease your mind.
How do you explain that to American people, everyone in this room, all of us on this side? We have to follow the tax laws of the United States. And if we don't, we can help.
Close Rob. Rob said he doesn't want anyone to see how broke he was before he became president. That's why he wouldn't release his tax returns. But the reason he doesn't want to be audited is because he's a tax cheat. And that's just me guessing. But that's a pretty informed guess considering the amount of times Donald Trump has been caught being a tax cheat. Oh, by the way, I just heard about this morning. Can I take a victory lap here for a second? And MAGA, you guys will like this. It appears that Michael Cohen now has been meeting with Donald Trump and is going to go back on his testimony from the Trump fraud trial and is saying he was coerced. Can I just say, did we not say don't trust that fucking guy? Did we not say that? Be careful. Just because somebody talks shit about Donald Trump doesn't mean that they can be trusted. Yeah, that's the rumor is he met with Trump at Bedminster last week, and now I guess he's been openly saying that he was pressured to give that testimony. Yeah. Not a good guy. Never was a good guy.
Be held responsible for it to the point of even criminal.
I got that mixed up. Is that not what happened? That's just what I heard this morning. If I'm wrong on that, let me know. But that's what I heard this morning.
Prosecution. Why did you decide that President Trump and his family and their businesses should be exempt from that same responsibility?
Yeah, he was coerced to say he was coerced. Edwards said, give the $1.776 billion to Trump and Epstein victims. Yeah, we'll go with that.
As part of the settlement between the IRS and President Trump and some of his family, two of his sons and his organization, as is typical when there's a settlement between plaintiffs and the IRS, part of the settlement included release of any past audits. It does.
Why? Why in the world would we release past audits?
Not give any protection to the president, his family, or his organizations for any taxes they file. If they filed it the day of that I signed that agreement, or the day after, they have no protection.
No matter what their liability, no matter what their violation of tax law, you signed a document that forever discharged them from any legal responsibility.
As part of the settlement that we entered into, any past audits were
How often do you think that's been done in the history of the United States?
Involving the President of the United States, I'm not sure it's ever been done, but this type of settlement is done regularly.
I don't think that this is true. I looked for any time the Attorney General settled a complaint, like somebody sued the government, and the settlement included that any audits going backwards for them and their family would be dismissed. I couldn't find any record of that anywhere. Not just political people. Danny Werfel, who is the former IRS commissioner, was actually asked about this, and he said that he was unaware of a single precedent where the IRS has agreed in advance to permanently forego examination of previously filed tax returns for a specific person or business, not just a politician. And this was the former IRS commissioner. I looked for cases. I searched every possible way I could on the internet. I could not find a single instance where the IRS agreed in advance to permanently forego examination of previously filed tax returns. Nobody seems to have a single example of this. Now, Todd Blanche, this is why he's so good at this. He lies, and he does it kind of sneakily with these members of Congress. They're arrogant, so he'll say things to them all the time, like, you know that this is true, and then he says something that's not true. It's a good way to be coercive. But if anybody wants to, you can look this up yourselves. If you disagree with me, find me any case where they did this. I couldn't find one.
So you're saying that when it comes to the President of the United States, his family and businesses have no responsibility under the tax laws for any wrongdoing prior to the signing of this document?
If true he perjured himself, they wouldn't be able to stick that for perjury. He would just get out of it, be like, oh no, we've deferred tax settlements before, or we've deferred like audits before, and it would be a different circumstance, right? Like maybe you had an IRS agent like go rogue and they were auditing somebody extensively to get back at them, and they made an agreement like, oh, okay, so we can't audit you on those again.
No, I mean, I didn't say that at all. What I'm saying is that I think President Trump and his family are the first president that had their tax returns illegally taken, and made available to the public. So that is
again true, but also the only ones that refused to release them, which doesn't matter to Todd Blanche. It's still illegal what they did to Donald Trump, and the person who leaked them should be prosecuted according to our law, even though all of us were very happy that he did that.
unique to President Trump, yes, but this type of settlement is not unique to the Department of Justice or the IRS.
And that's a lie. Soli said, what do you call a person who doesn't masturbate? A liar. Tanya said, happy hump day. Thank you, Tanya. And Stacy, thank you every day chipping in. And thank you guys so much for helping us knock away at that gift goal. I know that times are tough for a lot of us, so I appreciate that.
It's hard to explain to the American people that no one is above the law when that type of document was signed by you, forever discharging that family and that president from any liability for violating the tax laws.
Thanks, Jay Har, for joining the Dollar Train.
Nobody is above the law. And when we enter into settlements like that, we do it with all kinds of people. It's not just President Trump. It doesn't make any of those individuals above the law.
So let me ask you, since you don't believe anyone should be above the law, about the January 6th riot.
That's true. That is important context. Regan, Texas, the person who leaked these returns did go to jail. They were prosecuted.
There's pardoned. We've taken a look at some of the people that the president pardoned on his first day in office, the ones who attacked this Capitol. And I'll use the word attack because I was here and I saw what happened. Anyone looking at the videos knows what happened on that day. Among those who were pardoned by the president are individuals who've gone on to commit serious crimes against innocent victims across the United States. Do you think that blanket pardon by the president of January 6 rioters was the right thing to do?
Here's the part. I don't think Todd Blanche should answer this question. I think people are gonna get annoyed by this, but I do think it would be wrong for him to speculate here. I think this is a place where you want the attorney general to be apolitical. So this is going to be annoying, but I think to defend Todd Blanche in this situation is probably the right thing to do.
The Constitution gives the president the full power to pardon anybody for any reason he wants. And so I don't question President Trump's authority or his decision to do so on January 20th.
You don't question his decision?
As I said, President Trump, under our Constitution, just like
Jones Journey, thank you. John, I think you asked if Epstein survivors have an attorney, are they able to meet with the DOJ? Blanche is saying he can't meet with them. I read, Jones, what I read, and you can tell me if I went to the right place. I went to the Crimes Victim Rights Act, and when I went through this, I didn't see anything that said if you go to number 5, that they have a reasonable right to confer with the attorney for the government in the case. And I didn't see anything here that said that they that they are not allowed to confer with the attorney for the government in the case if they have an attorney. So that's what I was looking for. I'm not an expert here, so whoever brought you, I appreciate that. Even here, advice of attorney, the prosecutor shall advise the crime victim that the crime victim can seek the advice of an attorney with respect to the rights described in subsection A. I didn't see that. You saw the same? You agree with me? Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that.
President Biden has the authority to pardon anybody for any federal crime. And that's something that every president, that's a privilege every president's afforded, and including President Biden and President Trump.
Well, I can tell you he may
No, Cranberry, it was earlier. The question was, he made the statement, because Durbin said, will you meet? Oh, no, on this one. Oh, sorry, never mind. This is about the, Trump's use of the pardon. It's the right answer. Trump does have the right to pardon whoever he wants. And I think we should highlight that, and we should probably revisit pardons. I think it's pretty clear that pardons have gotten out of control. I have empathy for Joe Biden. I have sympathy for Joe Biden. I don't think the president on his way out of office should be able to pardon his whole family. I didn't like that. I don't like, obviously, a bunch of Trump's pardons. I don't know why we have pardon power at all. I think we should definitely revisit that. I think Congress should look at a constitutional amendment about pardons. I think they're obviously abused.
Had the authority to do it, but I think someone should have grabbed him by the arm and said, stop. You can't release all of those rioters. Some of them actually physically assaulted policemen in the Capitol. Some of them were guilty of crimes, serious crimes before that day. And for the president to give a blanket pardon to these individuals is something that I don't think you can explain to the American people. You certainly can't.
Yeah, Juju, that's the question. Does he get bribed for these pardons? And that would be a good question to ask Todd Blanche. And I would hope that they would. Like, hey, look, I understand the president can pardon who they want. However, what do we do with a president who is getting money? Like, it's clearly that he's receiving money from the people he's pardoning. Is that something that should be investigated? That would be a better question to ask Todd Blanche.
It to the policemen who almost lost their lives because of these attackers. I yield, Mr. Chairman.
Before I go to Senator.
All right. There was Dick Durbin, and then I want to get to Sheldon Whitehouse also talking to Blanche, and there's a couple more sections in here where Todd Blanche just gets caught. Again, Todd Blanche is probably the smartest person in this administration, and he was a good attorney. He's a very, very accomplished attorney, but every good attorney that winds up with Trump winds up having to defend the indefensible. And I think attorneys sometimes fly too close to the sun for Donald Trump. They think that, they're protected by the protections afforded attorneys of doing what's right for your client or giving them the best defense possible. But you can't lie. You can't break the law. You can't knowingly present information that is false. And when you defend Trump, you wind up a lot of times having to present information that knowingly is false. And that's why every one of his attorneys crash and burns after. This was probably Todd Blanche's best case scenario. He can become attorney general. Even if he doesn't become attorney general, when he leaves, he'll probably just stop practicing law and he'll go sit on a board somewhere and he'll be a lobbyist. And his name and his role as whether he becomes attorney general or because he was acting attorney general, that will carry a lot of weight. And the Republicans will still like him, and he'll have a very lucrative career after this. This is his only way out, and I think he knew that.
Mr. Blanche.
Good morning.
Why won't you tell us what became of the $50,000 in confidential money that the FBI reported that it gave to Tom Homan?
I'm not aware of what you're speaking about. To the extent that there have been public reporting about an investigation, I know nothing about it.
Well, the public reporting is that the FBI reported giving $50,000 in the nature of a bribe to Tom.
Of course, he's not aware.
Homan, and there's been no report of what became of that $50,000. Will you answer that question? Not now, but will you answer that question? Because we've been asking for a long time now. Your department certainly knows what's happening.
I'm not aware that that's true.
Well, take a look at it, and it's publicly reported, and the FBI reported it, and you should answer the question. That's not the only one.
How am I aware? But he's not. He knows.
Here's a list of unanswered questions that I have just asked.
For Tom, if you're still here, my Republican friends, I just want you to pretend that this is not Sheldon Whitehouse. I want you to pretend that this is Jim Jordan. I want you to just ask yourself, set aside your partisan belief or your partisan biases. I'll set aside mine too. Congress has oversight over the Department of Justice. When they ask questions of the Department of Justice, should they get answers? Of course, right? Because they have oversight. So if the Department of Justice is not providing answers, no matter who it is, they're in the wrong, correct? We need that oversight. We need Congress to have oversight. If the Department of Justice has no oversight, then they just become a rogue agency, right? Are you talking to me, May? I don't work at a hospital. Are you talking to me?
I don't know how it is that the chairman thinks that you've cooperated with the committee or that you've been transparent with the committee. That is not...
RTP has zero outrage when the J6ers and those pushing back on the scam-demic were being targeted and having their due process rights trampled on RTP's a partisan hack. No, whose due process rights got trampled on? Every J6er that went to jail had due process. Everybody who goes to jail has due process. What are you talking about? That's the process that they were due. They were due the process of going to court. They went to court. They were convicted or pled guilty, and they went to jail. Every last one of them got due process. And no, I have no sympathy for those dumb fucks who stormed the Capitol. And in fact, I think that they caught a break, and I think that they avoided accountability because Donald Trump likes people who break the law for him. So yeah, you're right. No, I don't have sympathy for any of those people.
My experience. You said earlier that you welcome our questions. Great. Answer our questions. That's the real point. Where we've failed to get answers to our oversight
That's a great point, Ashley. They literally couldn't be pardoned if they weren't found guilty. So none of them could be pardoned if they didn't have their due process. I just say words that I've heard other people say. They're trampling on their due process while they're giving their due process. Okay, so here's well, let me get these out and then I'll play that. Down.
We've actually had to revert to the Freedom of Information Act, the general law of government transparency, to try to get answers from the Department of Justice. Here's how we did. Not well. We have this stack of questions that you haven't answered in the nature of oversight. We have this stack of FOIA requests that you haven't answered. And I think it's important for us to believe that you actually take seriously your constitutional oversight responsibilities in order to confirm you, that you actually take seriously your obligations to this committee, irrespective of party, majority or minority, in order to confirm you. So I will ask before we get to a vote on this that you take a look at these and get us answers where we.
May, now that you're here, May, let's see if we can get you settled down. Do you think this is good that the DOJ refuses to answer any of these FOIA requests? Is that a country we can be proud of and call transparent?
Have had answers, Mr. Blanche. They have not been informative. They have been blow-offs. So let's move on to Trump versus IRS. Our research indicates that
some of this stuff is going to be duplicative.
DOJ officials have never in the history of the department before faced a judicial inquiry into a fraud on the court participated in by the Department of Justice.
I love a big in-your-face poster.
That was the inquiry opened in Florida. The question about fraud on the court committed by the Department of Justice remains open in the judge's decision. Here's what she did find. She found that the Department of Justice colluded with the Trump plaintiffs, that the Department of Justice violated DOJ policies in that collusion, that department attorneys were derelict in their responsibilities as DOJ attorneys, that the department failed to zealously advocate on behalf of the United States of America, its true client. And as I said, the fraud on the court question remains open.
Is the C in duplicative with an S sound or a C sound? I think C. I don't think it's duplicative. I think it's duplicative.
Precedented.
Am I wrong on that?
Allegation about the department. As a result of that, the order was transmitted to the New York State Bar for potential disciplinary proceedings.
I think you're wrong about that. I see if we look at the duplicative here, duplicative, maybe. Maybe I'm just saying it weird. Duplicative is probably how to say it. I like duplicative. It sounds cooler. I'm gonna mispronounce it on purpose now, but I don't think it's an S sound.
I would like to ask, in addition, since this is new news, the decision was, 2 days ago? I would like to ask that you say to us...
Just not used to me saying big words, fuck you.
You will be willing to provide all of the documents and communications between the Department of Justice and the Trump plaintiffs in that matter.
It's a hard C. That's what MAGA dads pay me for.
I'm not aware of any communications. I didn't have any. So if you put a request in, we'll look at it. I mean, obviously that's active, continued litigation in the Southern District of Florida. So it depends on.
Explain how it is active, continued litigation in the District of Florida.
Well, there's been several indications that the parties of, I never entered notice of appearance, but that the parties intend to appeal the judge's Monday 56-page decision.
Well, it'll be interesting. Do you intend to appeal the Department of Justice?
We weren't really even part of that decision. So to the extent there's something that we can appeal, I very vigorously will encourage the department to do so.
Well, now pronounce Siobhan. Got it.
Here's the tell. In that case, the Department of Justice filed no answer, filed no agreement with respect to the extension of time, filed no response to the case or controversy amici, filed nothing related to the withdrawal of the complaint, filed no settlement, and filed no response to the fraud on the court inquiry. To me, as a one-time litigator, that looks like really weird behavior. And when for the first time in history there's an inquiry into fraud upon the court committed by the Department of Justice, the silence from the department in response to that is
Bowsy said duplicative is a nuanced pronunciation. Most believe it's pronounced release the Epstein files. I think that's correct.
deafening, Mr. Blanche. Deafening. And it strikes me that the stratagem here was to file no pleadings, to try to keep the department out of the authority of the court, when what the department knew to be a collusive and false enterprise was blown up in that court. Now, it didn't
His
work.
glasses are on his eyes and not his forehead today. He means business. Are you thinking of Tim Kaine?
Because the court found collusion, and it takes two to collude. And they also went on and made the other adverse findings about the department's conduct. And the problem here, Mr. Blanche, is that it's not just that one occasion. Between judges appointed by every president harshly criticizing the department's work in your tenure, grand juries rejecting indictments, judicial findings of outright misconduct.
This is crazy. So these are quotes from judges about the conduct of the Department of Justice. Now, this is incredibly unusual. This is unprecedented. It is very rare to see a judge speak about the Department of Justice in this way. Oftentimes, they kind of feel like we're kind of on the same team, right? We're the Justice Department, and the judges are there to enforce justice. You would like to think that the Justice Department is acting in good faith, and that they are more principled than the people that they're prosecuting, but that doesn't seem to be the case here.
Capable lawyers fleeing the stinking ship.
Let's go back and read some of those real fast. Terrible, disrespect, pretext toward court order, willful and intentional noncompliance, losing credibility, unprecedented, disingenuous, bad faith, sacrifices its credibility, willful disregard of court orders, disrespectful, sham, lied, unconscionable. I think it's over 100 court orders that ICE has ignored. 100. It's one of the most corrupt administrations. I think it's the most corrupt. What administration could you possibly compare to this one in terms of corruption? Is Shoddy the last one? Thank you. Shoddy. May, get it together. You're struggling.
Findings of outright misconduct.
You guys are terrible without Trump. May, we'd like to be terrible. We would love to be terrible. We will trade any amount of clicks and attention we're getting to get rid of Trump. All of it. And then maybe you won't be such a miserable fucking dipshit, too. Maybe you can get your life back.
I'm defending Donald on the internet. I'm yelling at all the people who point out that he's corrupt. I'm doing it, Donnie. I'm doing it.
I don't tie your identity to politicians. Well, then you're fucking Velcro, because, my God, you are stuck to Donald Trump. You come in here every day as if you are an appendage to Donald Trump, getting in your feelings every fucking day for Donald Trump. Oh, I'm not partisan, actually. I defend Donald Trump all day, every day on the internet, but I don't have any biases here. We all have biases, May. We all have biases. I have biases. You have biases. Unfortunately, your bias is so strong that you've attached yourself to a lunatic who was not that bright to begin with. And you guys have all just decided, fuck it, we're riding it out. And you're going to ride this out until he dies. I don't know what you're going to do when Donald Trump dies. It's going to be very confusing. There's going to be this weird power vacuum when the guy who started my cult died, there was this power vacuum between a lot of people thought his wife should continue to lead the church. A lot of people thought his brother should. Some people thought a guy named Oliver Cowdery should. And most of the people thought Brigham Young. And Brigham Young's like, we're going to head to Utah and we'll be safe. And there was this big splinter in the cult. There was a power vacuum. And you guys are going to have that too. And it's going to be really weird to watch you guys pick sides, and then you're going to all go to war with each other. Because what you've been conditioned to do is tie yourself directly to one person, not an ideology, not a set of principles, just a person. And you're like, like a virus trying to attach to a host. When Trump dies, there's just going to be this scattering. You ever like knocked down an anthill? I lived in South Carolina, and they'd have those like big cone-shaped like anthills. Occasionally, if you knock one over, you watch all the ants kind of scatter. Or if you spray it with a hose, and they take off everywhere, and then they start building these other colonies. That's what it's going to look like when Trump dies. You guys are just going to scatter, and you're going to just latch on to the closest thing that you find to Trump. And then because you've been so conditioned to just like blindly follow, it's going to be this weird civil war between all of you as you have these groups. And eventually it'll just go away. But it's going to be fun to watch you, May. I hope you keep coming around. And let us know who it is that you attach yourself to so we can make fun of them so you'll keep coming around.
Capable lawyers fleeing.
Mainly because you hate me? Well, I'm sorry, May. I'm sorry that I caused such big feelings for you. I'm sorry that I'm causing so many problems in your life. Maybe get off the internet for a little while.
The stinking ship. This seems to be the most troubled Department of Justice in history.
Chris said, tell May she's an idiot. And tell Jen I said, what's up, boo? Thank you.
Here are some of the misconduct findings against your U.S. attorneys.
District of Rhode Island, multiple misconduct investigations. District of Wyoming, prosecutorial misconduct finding, indictments dismissed. District of Columbia, subpoenas quashed. Grand jury, no bills. Seizure warrant denied. Bar investigation initiated. Northern District of Illinois, prosecutorial misconduct finding, charges dropped. Middle District of North Carolina, subpoena quashed. Central District of California, grand jury, no bills. Disqualified as temporary U.S. attorney. District of Nevada, disqualified as temporary U.S. attorney. Northern District of New York, professional misconduct finding, disqualified as temporary U.S. attorney, subpoenas quashed. District of New Jersey, drop charge, disqualified as temporary U.S. attorney. Eastern District of Virginia, disqualified as temporary U.S. attorney, indictments dismissed, grand jury, no bills. District of Minnesota, arrest warrants denied.
I haven't put it up yet.
Denied.
Here's a word cloud
it was.
Of the commentary by.
But find me, do that with any other administration now. Do it with any other administration. The more corrupt acts they do, the more the cult insulates itself. It's really weird. It's kind of weird watching in real time. Like, those of you who have been following for a while, you know that what we're seeing now from MAGA in the chat is very different than what it used to be. It is delirious now. It is so far removed from reality that it really does feel like whatever reality is, they are going to believe the opposite. And that's what it requires of them.
Federal judges about the conduct of your DOJ. These are red flag words that when I was a U.S. attorney would have provoked, at minimum, an internal conversation about what the hell went wrong, and very likely a conversation with OPR and maybe OPR pursuit. Words like pretext mean a lot coming from a judge about a government argument, usually enjoying the presumption of regularity. We need answers. I need you to be able to tell me that this kind of misconduct is going to stop if you're confirmed as Attorney General. Can you say that?
The Department of Justice works hard. The prosecutors work hard every day. And
nobody asked how hard you work, bud. We want you guys to stop doing illegal things. It's hard work committing crimes. It's hard work being corrupt. You can work, a lot of criminals work really, really hard at being criminals. We would like you to work hard and not be corrupt.
I appreciate the hand-picked words that you have behind you right now, but that's not reflective of the 100,000 indictments and informations that have been filed to do the work that I talked about earlier today. And so while cherry picking...
Doing some good work is not justification for doing some bad work. You don't need cheerleaders. You're the Department of Justice. Hopefully you didn't sign up for this job for cheerleaders, because you don't get any. You're just there to be held accountable when you guys fuck up. And when you fuck up, be accountable for it and fix it. That's all anybody's asking. But MAGA takes this as like a personal attack. May's in here. Why are you holding them accountable? This makes me mad. I hate you. Well, we love you, May.
Few isolated words from district court or magistrate judges in certain districts is something that you're entitled to do. It's absolutely false to suggest that this Department of Justice is not executing as we should and doing the right thing.
Good
every
point,
single
Greg.
day.
He keeps talking about indictments filed, not the trials or secured convictions.
I will tell you that you are wrong. That in the history of the department, this kind of criticism by federal judges is unprecedented, and it comes from judges of every different political persuasion. Let me ask about the FBI. How long do you intend to put up with that Kash Patel character? Are you good with his airplane jaunts? Are you confident he's not drinking on the job? Are you sure none of his travel is a pretext for vacation activities like snorkeling, Olympics, and visiting girlfriends? Are you sure he knows what he's doing? Do you vouch for him? Are you willing to look at whether he lied to this committee?
All right. White House hates Kash Patel. It's an emotionally loaded question. It's probably an unfair question because of how many things he loaded into that question. It's hard to answer that question. But I love this for one reason and one reason only. It's going to force Todd Blanche to go on the record as saying Kash Patel is doing a good job. And that must, for anybody as smart as Todd Blanche, the internal anguish of having to say Oompa Loompa Doompity Dumb is doing a bang up job at the FBI. That's got to suck. Like, Todd Blanche is an actual intelligent person. That sucks. I'm glad he asked the question this way. But Todd Blanche is now going, fuck, I have to defend Kash Patel.
That's an
How does it feel to think you're right about everything? It feels fucking amazing, May. It's amazing. I am right about everything, May. I've never been wrong about anything. I get my answers directly from the Lord of the Universe, Gork, and he directly transmits them into my brain. And he wants me to tell you that you need to try a different deodorant. Your armpits are a little stinky. I don't know why he said that. I would never say something like that about you, but for some reason, my gods thinks that your armpits don't smell very good.
Really obnoxious question, Senator, and I have full faith in direct.
It's RTP, the guy who doesn't debate anymore after getting whipped by Andrew and Rob. Yeah, sure, that's what it is. That's what it is. Imagine thinking that I lost that debate to Andrew. Do you know how stupid you have to be to think I lost that debate to Andrew? Andrew conceded my entire argument. You're right about everything economically. Let's talk about my feelings now. And you're out there beating off to Andrew. Good for you, bud. Good for you. Go follow Rob Noor some more. He's doing really, really well. He's doing really, really well. Has he proved the election interference yet? Has he proved Russiagate was a hoax yet? No? Still doing that?
Patel and the work that he's doing every day.
Great. You get to own that. One last thing, if I may.
And thank you. Praise Gork.
You have refused to exclude January 6 rioters from your anti-weaponization fund. You have refused to put in.
And first of all, everybody that watched those debates, everybody that participated or watched those debates lost. I think we all lost, for the record.
That the slush fund is dead. Indeed, you signal to allies that payouts are still on track. You have vacated seditious conspiracy convictions against members of the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. You hired January 6 rioter Jared Wise, who had urged the mob to kill police officers.
Nice. Good hires there.
You scrubbed press releases about January 6 prosecution.
I only watched half, so you won. That's correct. If you did not see those debates, you actually won. If you didn't watch all of that debate, you won. If you sat through the entire debate, you lost.
And called the releases partisan propaganda. You denied that Trump encouraged any violence on January 6. You've cleaned house of every attorney who worked on a case related to Trump, and you've bragged that bringing justice for violent rioters meant that every one of them was either pardoned or had their sentence commuted. I hope that our colleagues who are concerned about what happened on January 6th take that into account. Thank you.
And for the record, I can't remember who said that. I will debate any of your people anytime, any place. I'm just not going to go up and do a fucking panel. It's a waste of time. I've never challenged people to debates. Andrew asked to debate me. Rob asked to debate me. Somebody else asked me to debate on Raging Tomatoes platform. She reaches out for me. She reaches out to me probably once every couple of weeks about debates. She just does a lot of topics that I don't cover. Like it's a lot of religion debates and science debates. So tell any of your people. I'll debate them anytime, any place, anywhere. But they don't want to.
Like to respond?
I would. Almost everything the senator just said, and he's protected. He's allowed to lie. But almost everything he just said was absolutely false. Okay, starting with the fact that I have never said that any sort of violence against law enforcement is appropriate. I have never said that publicly. I have never said that in a speech, and I certainly do not believe it. I did not hire the person referenced, and that is again something that.
But the department did, and for the record, he's right. I could find no record of him praising the J6ers. There's a quote where he was asked, somebody accused Donald Trump of not doing enough for the J6ers, and he was like, "Are you kidding?" He pardoned all of them. He did plenty for them, which is true. Fact check, true. But his boss sure doesn't have a problem with criminals.
Just happens not to be true. When I talk about what happened with the convicted January 6 defendants, I talk about what President Trump did. He has the absolute right to pardon anybody for any reason he sees fit, and every one of them got pardoned or commuted. I am not celebrating that. It is a fact. And the fact that my department had to take action in response to those pardons by dismissing some cases is exactly what I have to do under the law, and it's what I did.
That's true.
So that the narrative that the senator just suggested and put on me as something I believe is absolutely not true.
I think it's fair.
Since he accused me of lying personally, Mr. Chairman, let me ask that.
But for the record, none of Trump's supporters that are here are with Todd Blanche. None of you will say that. You'll actually defend those. And Todd Blanche doesn't have to defend any of those pardons. If Trump pardons somebody, he's required to drop the charges. He can't stand in the way of a Trump pardon. Everything he just said there was true. And maybe it is an unfair criticism to say he agreed with them when there's no record of him necessarily agreeing with them. I don't care if he agrees with them or not. I want to talk more about the pardons. I would love if we could get some sort of movement of getting rid of presidential pardons. They're obviously corrupt.
I put this series of concerns into a question for the record, and that you, under oath, one by one, tell me where there's a lie.
I'm happy to do that.
We'll get that to you.
I'm happy to do that. Absolutely.
Before I go to Senator Blackburn.
All right, that's the end of that one. Just a reminder, guys, we got about 25 minutes left in the show today. If you want to help us knock out the remaining balance of that gift card, that would be greatly appreciated. It's in the bottom left or top left corner, depending on where you're watching. Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal are the way to go. If we did a dollar train, we'll knock that out quick, fast, and in a hurry. If you don't, Jen's just going to guilt trip the shit out of you in the chat. So maybe you like that, maybe you don't. Maybe you like a little abuse. She'll bring it. There was only one more I wanted to show from Todd Blanche. This was John Cornyn. I think it's important to talk about the weaponization fund and the way that they are pretending that it's a dead story. This is actually pretty fucking gross. And I think Cornyn did a really, really good job exposing just how corrupt not only this weaponization fund is, but how they're pretending that it's dead. It's not dead. There's no agreement. The weaponization fund is still very much in existence.
But let's talk a little bit about the settlement agreement and the release.
Thank you, Sherry, for your Antifa dues.
First of all, I believe you have said that the weaponization fund is a moot issue. Is that your position?
Yes, it is a moot issue, meaning there is no weaponization fund. The weaponization fund is dead. It's not moving forward.
Well, I would refer.
Notice the words he's using. It is dead. There is no fund. It's moving forward. Just remember that those are the terms there. Not, we have agreed that there will be no weaponization fund.
Refer you to the settlement agreement. Do you happen to have a copy of that in front of you?
I do not.
Okay,
Senator.
well, you probably know what's in it.
I'm familiar with it, yes.
I'm sure you are. On page 4, this settlement agreement may be modified only upon the written agreement of the parties. Has there been a written agreement of the parties to modify the settlement fund?
Whoops.
No, the settlement fund's just not.
Okay, so the only way that we drop this is if the parties have a written agreement. So that would be between the government and Donald Trump. There's no written agreement. So this agreement is still in effect. The weaponization fund is still in effect.
Not moving forward. There's no modification. It's just it never started. No money went from the Treasury to any other account. There's no commissioners. It's not moving forward.
Well, so the settlement agreement remains as it was originally, but I hear what you're saying. Is the settlement agreement enforceable as a contract by the parties?
Good question.
Well, yes, it's an enforceable document. So I suppose.
So what does that mean? That means if it's enforceable by Trump. And if you have an agreement that there is to be a weaponization fund of $1.776 billion, which isn't it's basically unlimited, then unless Trump agrees and signs paperwork saying that this is not going to be enforced, then it can be enforced with him simply just requesting that it be enforced. This was a great line of questioning by John Cornyn.
If President
We're sure glad we ran him out, right?
Trump's counsel sought to enforce it, they potentially could.
Including the weaponization fund.
Well, they could try to enforce the contract. They can't force the Department of Justice to move forward with the weaponization fund. They could potentially say that, I suppose, that we breached by not moving forward.
Yeah, they can't force you. They can't walk down and force you. They can say you're in breach of contract, and then the courts would rule that that you are in breach of contract, and then the government would be forced to pay that weaponization fund. See what he's saying? See how slimy this is? They're just telling you guys that the weaponization fund is dead. It's not dead. It's not dead at all.
They haven't done that, and I'm not aware that they're planning on doing that. Like I said, Senator, and Senator Durbin talked about this, but I've talked extensively with you and other colleagues about potentially codifying so there's no weaponization fund, which is certainly something that could be done.
It's 2026, and there are still people who think COVID booster shots are not backed by all the science. Welcome to America. Still using booster shots as an insult. Yeah. I bet all you liberals drink water to stay healthy, huh? Yeah. Yeah, we do that too.
And I wasn't meaning to insult this body, but just that in response to questions from senators about whether that could be done, we very much are okay with that.
But just to be clear, the President of the United States, who is a plaintiff in this lawsuit, has not agreed in writing to delete the weaponization fund, and there's no guarantee that he or one of the other plaintiffs might raise that issue by way of a lawsuit and a breach of contract lawsuit in the future.
Well, Senator, the plaintiffs have no power over the fund. The fund was administered solely by the 5 commissioners and through the Department of Justice. So no, they don't have any power with respect to the fund at all. I suppose they could bring a lawsuit and then we would litigate it. But even if we were litigating it, there's no fund.
What would you argue, Todd Blanche? If Trump came and said you're in breach of contract and you say you would litigate it, what would you argue? You already agreed to this. The judge would go, hey, you agreed to this. Well, we don't want to do it. They wouldn't even argue it, by the way. They would just do it. They wouldn't litigate. They would just be like, yeah, you're right. But even if they tried to fight it, how would they fight this? We don't want to pay it, Judge. You have to. Okay.
So the results of such litigation, whatever it would be, wouldn't be a revival of the fund.
I want to ask you about the relief.
It would be the revival of the fund. And I guess if you're saying like the fund hasn't ever existed in terms of like there's an actual fund you can pull from, if the court rules that the DOJ has to follow through on this agreement, then the court is ruling that the United States government has to pay and put this fund together. I don't know how stupid he thinks everybody else in the room is, and maybe a lot of people aren't following it in that room, but that's crazy. At least the judge ruled on this. Yeah. least they did. Okay. How much time we got? About 20 more minutes? Okay. I'm going to go. Well, we'll do this. I want to talk about. I don't think we showed this one.
There are a whole variety.
All right, this is more perfect union. We'll finish on this, and then once again, guys, if you want to help us knock out that gift goal, it'd be greatly appreciated. You're about to get absolutely guilt tripped in the chat by Jen. I want to shield you from that, but if we don't knock it out, Jen's going to come after you. There have been more than one whistleblowers in the Trump administration, but More Perfect Union talked to a couple of them, and the title is, we talked to a Trump whistleblower. What he saw will shock you. I don't think you will be shocked. I think you will just be like, yeah, this makes sense. But again, like, it feels like we have to do this every day. It feels like every day we have to share another story of corruption, and just one by one pick off a handful of people who are like, all right, that's enough with Trump. I can't do Donald Trump anymore. Not you, May. You stay strong.
There are a whole variety of different things that I wish I could share about the threats that were made against us.
In 2025, Roger Alford took a job in President Trump's Department of Justice because he believed he could help people.
I thought we were going to be focused on the average American.
Roger's job was to investigate powerful corporate monopolies.
Live Nation, the owner of Ticketmaster, runs a harmful monopoly and overcharges fans.
Texas patients have been forced to pay millions more for the services since they say a monopoly started forming.
They stole money from the public.
Thank you, Sherry. Said, here you go, Jen.
Took food off people's tables.
He noticed a disturbing trend. In order to get their mergers approved, a lot of these companies were hiring million-dollar fixers to cut shady backroom deals. And when Roger and others spoke up, they were fired.
It was a genuine shock.
What Roger saw is just the tip of the iceberg. We investigated, and what we found was a pattern of corruption that goes all the way to the top. Massive corporations buying off the government agencies that are meant
While we're watching this, Mag, I just want you to think, look at all these benefits these wealthy people are getting. What benefits did I get? And feel free to drop the benefits that you're getting from this administration in the chat, the things that are making your life easier.
Protect us, and instead leaving us vulnerable to limited choices, junk fees, and sky-high prices.
This is the reason we have those laws. Companies should not be able to treat people that way.
These were jam jobs. These were politically driven deals waved through because...
And also, Maggie, remind your dad that I also give out jam jobs for a fee.
the right lobbyists or the right payoffs happen.
We'll show you the pattern we uncovered and introduce you to the unprecedented bipartisan team that's stepping up to protect working Americans from corporate greed.
We're going to do right by our consumers. We've got a job to do.
Brianna said you can only use this to get your third nipple pierced. Thank you. As a reminder to everybody here, I do have 3 nipples. And Nin says, because Jen bullied us. Just kidding. Love you, Jen.
For the last 40 years, across administrations from both parties, politicians have mostly been content to let corporations keep getting bigger and more powerful. But in recent years, something has started to shift.
The federal government is suing to block the largest supermarket merger in U.S.
arguing
history.
that it would reduce the number of supermarkets, which would mean higher
Today,
prices.
the Justice Department and 8 states sued software company RealPage, alleging it illegally helped landlords unfairly fix prices and
Captain Birdhammer, keep telling us more how you're cheap. It's fine. We get it. Let donate to YouTube, beggars. That's fine, bud. You're welcome to be here.
raise rents throughout the country.
At the end of the first Trump administration,
Anyone can get the tax breaks, just need to buy a jet, yacht, or tanning machine. Yeah. What are you guys all doing with your yacht write-offs? Tell me in the chat what you're doing with your private jet write-offs.
were very large and significant monopoly cases that were brought against Facebook and against Google.
When Lena Khan took over the Federal Trade Commission under President Biden, she and her colleagues in the Department of Justice continued those suits and filed dozens more.
Department of Justice has launched an antitrust probe into United
The move
Health.
is part of the Biden
Melanie said for my daily dopamine boost. Thank you, Melanie.
administration push to lower drug
Breaking
prices.
news this hour, the Federal Trade Commission and 17 states are accusing Amazon of anti-competitive behavior.
Overcharging people by upwards of $1 billion, making the product worse.
I would be a huge supporter of Lena Khan remaining, and I would love to see Lena Khan given more power.
And I guess I look at Lena Khan as one of the few people in the Biden administration that I actually think is doing a pretty good job.
We're seeing this like really interesting awakening on the left, but also importantly on the right around technology platforms, but also like concentration throughout the economy in general.
That's Gail Slater.
Lupus says, I have 4 nipples. Not a joke. I'm serious. The extra 2 are just the nipples.
President Trump's pick to lead the antitrust division of the Department of Justice. She was confirmed with 78 votes in the Senate, in part because she represented this shifting consensus. This idea that the government really needed to do more to protect us from concentrated corporate power. She was also Roger Alford's boss.
I thought we were going to be carrying forward the legacy cases that the Biden administration had brought.
Dolphin, I think we got the answer. It's no worries.
And then also bringing new cases.
But there was another powerful group with a very different agenda for President Trump's second term.
I think that companies are saying, you know what, we got a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get to, let's call our banker, let's call Morgan Stanley, and let's buy our biggest competitor, and let's, get it so that we can raise price, because it's about time.
God damn, was that honest? The richest among us saw this as their once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to become big, giant monopolies. Peter Thiel, who has been the man, the first person in tech to support Donald Trump, famously said, if you're going to build a company, build one that can become a monopoly. All the pro-monopoly people are giving Trump money. It's Amazon, it's Facebook, it's Google, it's NVIDIA, it's Anthropic, it's OpenAI, it's SpaceX, it's X, it's Tesla. All the monopolies love Donald Trump. And now all of our news organizations are being swallowed up into one. Now, normally, it's something like, it's like number 5 trillion on the list. We don't even get to it enough. But historically speaking, any other president, any other administration, they would never allow these mergers to go through. There's no scenario where Larry Ellison would be able to buy up this amount of media in any other administration. It's obviously a violation of our monopoly laws. It's obvious, and they're just letting it happen. Finally, some states are fighting back. Europe is fighting back, and I think there's like 27 states now that are suing the federal government against the Warner Brother Paramount merger. But obviously, this stuff shouldn't be allowed to happen. This isn't good for you or I. This is Donald Trump doing the bidding of the billionaires and you guys going along with it because you like Donald Trump, not because it's good for you or this country. Captain says donating for all the MAGA captains. Thank you.
Oh, no, I mean,
and Jack said for the grift. Thank you, Jack. Let me make sure I didn't miss any others while I play this. There we go.
Let's get scale.
For a minute there, you said
Big W for Trudy in Venmo. Said $50 in Venmo. Said for the goal. Thank you so much, Trudy.
Yeah,
I probably overspoke there.
This growing bipartisan antitrust movement, it was a huge threat to Wall Street. And so companies started looking for ways to get around it. Exhibit A, the very first merger that came across Roger Alford's desk.
Good morning, happy Tuesday. Hewlett-Packard Enterprise looking to buy Juniper Networks.
This was the first really big merger that would send a signal about whether or not we were serious about antitrust enforcement or not. It was a so-called 3-to-2 merger, 3 competitors becoming 2 competitors. And that is usually just a huge red flag.
Just a few weeks after Trump's inauguration, Roger's team at the Department...
We don't want that, right? We don't want... May, stop arguing with them for a second. May, do you want a bunch of mergers that take our largest corporations and turn them into one corporation? Or would you prefer that they be broken up to increase competition? Remember, that's kind of like, that's supposed to be conservative economic theory. Is you got to increase, you deregulate, but you also have to increase competition. So you have to heavily enforce monopoly laws. I was a Republican once before. When I was a Mitt Romney Republican, I promise you, one of the things that they talked about all the time, and they didn't follow up, but it was a normal conversation, was we need to break up the monopolies. The monopolies were largely seen as these tech companies too. And they were largely seen as on the left, and so the right hated them, like, we got to break them up. And then when they switched, they're suddenly like, no, they're fine. Let the mergers happen.
of Justice announced that they would be suing to block this merger. They said that it would reduce competition and raise wireless prices for hospitals, universities, and other customers.
And we were all set to go, ready to go to trial.
That's when Roger's boss, Assistant Attorney General Gail Slater, got a phone call. from one of the fixers that Hewlett-Packard had hired to push their deal through.
Thanks, Rhonda, for joining the Dollar Train.
He basically said, I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to do everything I can to make your life miserable.
And he could. The fixer was a man named Mike Davis. Davis caught Trump's eye back in 2022 when he was all over cable news defending Trump from federal charges.
Did he get new hair? Did he get a hairpiece?
This guy is tough as hell. We want him in a very high capacity. Mike Davis. Mike. Thank you, Mike. Where's Mike? Mike is great.
Mike Davis actually recommended Gail Slater to President Trump for the top antitrust job. Davis has denied the threatening phone call, but it is true that a couple of weeks after the election, he started getting big checks from corporations like Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, who wanted him to use his connections to push their mergers through.
If you hate mom and pop shops, you'll love giant monopolies.
Salary is $300,000 a month. He has a contingency fee of over $1 million for any successful mergers.
They hire this lobbyist, and the lobbyist starts talking to higher-ups, saying, you like us, we're on your team, just tell them to drop the case.
And they did. DOJ sources told the Wall Street Journal that a couple of weeks after the threatening phone call, Gail Slater's boss, quote, placed a document on her desk. It was a settlement deal, written by Hewlett-Packard Enterprise's own lawyers.
It was a genuine shock.
When Gail Slater asked her boss what would happen if she refused to sign it, he told her, quote, she was too difficult to fire, but he would fire her deputies. She signed, and then he fired them anyway.
And we all basically strongly suggested that that was inappropriate.
Set aside the fraud, because I know you guys aren't going to ever think that this is fraud or that it's corruption. Set aside all of that. Is it for you? Does this help you? Does this help normal, everyday Americans? I don't think anybody can say that this is good. And why is it happening? Because they paid Donald Trump to do it. And they're paying your members of Congress to do it. Cheerleading this administration while they just openly gut the country is fucking wild. Your level of loyalty to Donald Trump at your own expense, it will be studied for generations. We do this every day. I get asked regularly by people, like, what do you think's going to happen? How do we fix this? And honestly, the first domino is literally going to be Trump dying whenever that happens. And then we still have decades. Like, we have to go through so much misinformation. There's so many people in this country who don't think you should be vaccinated, who distrust science, who distrust academia. And you ask them why, and they have no idea why. They'll say, because of the COVID vaccines. Yeah. You're on the wrong side of that. You're literally on the wrong side of all the data. And because you haven't been proven right, you're like, well, they're just lying. It doesn't affect me at all. All of this affects you. I think it's if you don't think giant monopolies and the concentration of wealth being shrunk into smaller groups hurts you, then you just don't understand economics at all. If you think the hoarding of wealth doesn't make it so that your money isn't worth as much, then you just don't understand any of this.
And as a result of that, I was terminated.
With shares of Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, they're up more than 12% after the DOJ gave the
That's true. Trust the Bible, though.
green light for the proposed $14 billion acquisition of Juniper Networks.
This is oligarchy in action.
Thanks, Janelle.
Company gets sued. They hire $1 million fixer with the president's ear to leverage his loyalty and make sure that the suit goes away. They get a sweetheart deal, and then, when someone like Roger Alford gets in the way, they make sure he gets fired.
This type of, let's call it, pay-for-play politics hadn't happened since Watergate. They're dropping cases because they decided someone's a friend. That's not the rule of law. That's the opposite of the rule of law.
A few months later, one of America's most hated companies.
Democrats been killing small business for a long time. Just read an article that raising minimum wage to $20 an hour that Democrats want will drive out more small businesses and only large corporations can. I bet you did read that article. And I bet it's an opinion article. And I bet that they don't have data to back it up. And if they do, for debate stuff, I will proudly read that in front of you. I will bet you $20 that they do not provide data that it drives small businesses away. So go ahead and I'll watch for your chat Just tell me what the article is titled. We'll pull it up. We'll read it live.
Decided to try the same play for themselves.
Outrage over Ticketmaster and Live Nation gouging consumers on big concerts.
After decades of buying up its competitors, Ticketmaster
I
Live
agree, May. Trust the science.
Nation had consolidated control over ticketing, promotion, and venues.
Nothing's gotten better through this Ticketmaster Live Nation merger.
Michael, BS, it's true. You haven't read it either, Michael. Why are you making that decision? If that's what you're saying, you haven't read the article either. Don't say it's true before we've read it.
Have only gotten higher and more expensive.
In 2024, the Department of Justice under President Biden sued Ticketmaster Live Nation in hopes of breaking it up. A bunch of state attorneys general signed on to the suit as well, including Phil Weiser of Colorado and Jonathan Skrmetti of Tennessee.
There was tremendous evidence of very aggressive, almost mafia-like tactics. We had some witnesses. They would get a phone call, and it was basically like, hey, nice arena you have there. Be a shame if anything happened to it. We have the...
Nicole said, big thanks to you and Jen and anyone else who makes the show possible. Every day you provide hope, knowledge, entertainment, and a few laughs. Keep up the great work. Aw. That was sweet. Thank you.
Internal conversations, laughing about how dumb their customers are and how great it is that they can rip them off.
The messages between two ticketing directors saying, these people are so stupid. Another message saying, robbing them blind, baby.
When President Trump took office in 2025, his Department of Justice decided to continue the Ticketmaster suit. Ticketmaster thought they would try the same play as Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. They hired Kellyanne Conway, Trump's former campaign manager, as a fixer. They donated to Trump's inaugural fund, and they hired Mike.
Debate Steph, why are you not giving me the name of the article? May, I don't suck. Your dad does, and he's getting really good at it. He's really learned. He's done a lot of work on that gag reflex, to be honest, and he's learning to cover his teeth using his hand. His hand motion is a lot better. He's doing a great job. But Steph, what was the name of that article? Why are you still commenting without giving me the article? Remember how you said that you had an article that you were going to share with us? Where's that article?
Davis, the same fixer who got Hewlett-Packard Enterprise their sweetheart deal. Davis went after Roger Alford's boss, Gail Slater.
Once it became clear that Gail Slater was going to resolve these cases on the merits and wasn't going to listen to Mike Davis based on arguments other than the merits, he turned on her. He directly lobbied the President of the United States to get someone who was committed to enforcing the antitrust laws on the merits to be removed.
The head of the Justice Department's antitrust division is out. Gail Slater was fired today from the role after months of tension with the Trump administration.
The moment Gail Slater's firing hit the news...
Debate Steph, you said you just read an article that talked about how $20 an hour wages were going to cripple small businesses. And then I read that, and I asked you for the article that you read that you were going to send to us. And I'll even stay late and read the article for you. This is your chance. You're a debater, obviously. This is for Debate Steph. And you obviously have your ducks in a row, and I obviously am wrong here. And I'm giving you an opportunity in real time just to prove what you're saying. Let's see the data that they have behind it and decide if it's good data.
Live Nation's stock price skyrocketed. Shareholders were anticipating big payouts on the backs of consumers.
Robbing them blind, baby.
And then 2 weeks after she was fired,
the Justice Department has reached a settlement with Live Nation in its antitrust case.
Not everyone is on board.
The proposed settlement doesn't even rise to the level of a slap on the wrist.
Live Nation wouldn't have to sell off Ticketmaster, just a handful of venues. So
it's fucking crazy. These settlements are such bullshit. They just tie this into their cost. They know that they're going to go and they're going to create a monopoly, and then they're going to be sued for being a monopoly, but they know that our government is full of pussies and that we're never going to break them up because we're afraid to do anything to these big monopolies who donate heavily to politicians. And so they get a slap on the wrist, and we call it reform. We have to have real reform. We have to go through these monopolies and break them up piece by piece. Amazon should be ripped apart and given to the employees. Honestly, that's what's best for our country. That's what's best for the people that work there. We're obviously not going to do it, but that's what should happen. My dad told me you like it with a beard. No, I just no, your dad's wrong about that. I like finishing in the beard because then it doesn't drip on the floor. The beard holds some of it together. It's not, the beard is irrelevant when he's doing that. It's just a nice place to aim, and then you don't have to be ready with a towel. And yeah, I just like it that way, but thank you.
Like the same play had worked again. Get sued, hire a fixer, get a sweetheart deal. But there was one wrinkle for Ticketmaster.
From my perspective, this was not a sufficient settlement to take care of Tennessee consumers.
A bunch of those state AGs decided to continue with the suit, even after the Department of Justice settled.
People care about this.
I'm sick, Jeremy. Talk to May's dad. He's the one paying for it. I'm just doing my job.
We said, we're really concerned about this. We're like, not okay with us, and we're taking this case without the federal government. It's now a coalition of states.
And then something unexpected happened. The states actually won.
A federal jury in New York found Ticketmaster and Live Nation violated antitrust laws.
But every company that thinks that it can skate on antitrust just because an administration may not prioritize that really has to account for the states now.
Meanwhile, the higher-ups at DOJ are still letting corporations run the same play as HPE and Ticketmaster. They let two
My soul is mad, but my balls are drained and happy. Thanks, May's dad.
major owners of local TV stations, Nexstar and Tegna, merge without even an investigation.
The president put up a social media post and said, let the deal through. Now, we don't know exactly what happened behind those scenes, but I want to underscore how unusual that is.
There was no DOJ investigation when the country's largest real estate brokerage, Compass, wanted to buy its rival anywhere. Now they're free to saddle middle-class home buyers with even more junk fees in a housing market we can already barely afford. Compass even hired Mike Davis, the same fixer that got HPE and Live Nation their deals.
There's Mike again.
But nothing has made the corruption more clear than the Department of Justice's recent approval of the merger between Paramount and Warner Brothers. The deal puts one of Trump's top political donors at the head of a media empire that will include CNN, CBS, and HBO.
That makes no sense. It makes no sense. Why are you guys not upset about this? This seems like an easy one for everybody. No, Larry Ellison can't just own everything. But he likes Trump, so we'll let him. Anybody that likes Trump can do whatever they want to do.
And according to the Wall Street Journal, the staff attorneys in the antitrust division were leaning towards suing to prevent this merger. But again, they were overruled by the top brass at the Department of Justice. State AGs are teaming up to challenge the HPE, Nexstar.
I'll answer this question real quick. Who am I listening to and what evidence do I have? I don't even know what you're asking. Jeremy, what are you asking for? What? Who am I listening to right now? More Perfect Union. What evidence do we have? They're citing their evidence. What are you even asking for right now?
And Compass mergers in court. And they're considering whether to do the same for Paramount. But there's a lot more that our political leaders at the national level could be doing to protect us from these monopolies.
It is possible that you can try to undo some of the mergers.
Oh, I'm anti-Semitic. Oh, okay. What did I do now? How did I get anti-Semitic today? We haven't even covered Israel today. How did that happen? How did I just get labeled anti-Semitic? If you're talking about monopolies, you're anti-Semitic. All right. I appreciate it. You're making compelling arguments. I just simply asked you like what I was lying. I think what I was lying about, right?
Cory Booker and Amy Klobuchar have both introduced legislation that would unwind.
Is Larry Ellison Jewish? I don't know.
Any merger.
It's no joke. Stop Jew hate. Guys, it's not a fucking joke. It's not a fucking joke. Don't talk about anti-monopoly laws while being anti-Semitic. It's not a fucking joke. Okay? There we go. I got you, Feynor. It's not a joke. It's a little incoherent, if we're being honest. I'm a little confused. But whoever's doing the anti-Semitism, knock it off, okay? Because it's not a joke. It's not funny. We're not laughing about this.
Suspected of being pushed.
Look at Bill Gates and his monopoly. Yeah, Microsoft should be broken up, Jeremy. You think anybody in here gives a goddamn about Bill Gates? I promise there's not a billionaire that says they're on the left that we don't want their monopoly broken up and we don't want them taxed heavily. This is not a live that gives a fuck about the political affiliation of a billionaire. All the people who do this should have their companies broken up. Bill Gates can goeth and fucketh himselfeth. We don't care about Bill Gates over here.
Through using backroom deals.
And if you entered into corrupt
That's
agreements.
a good point. Virtual reality. Monopoly is a great game. Why are you leftist, Marxist, communists, and socialists complaining about it? Losers. Good point. It is a good game. I take it all back.
With Donald Trump, or agreements against the law and public interest, we're going to unwind.
You also want their political contributions? Yeah, wrong again, bitch. I don't know if it's your first fucking day here. We don't believe political contributions should exist. We believe all money should be taken out of politics. I shouldn't say we. I believe that elections should be funded by the state and that they should not be asking for donations for campaigns, and that corporations shouldn't be giving money. I don't think we're not Democrats either. Fuck them. Every Democrat that takes corporate money, get fucked. The only Democrats I ever say like nice things about or even consider endorsing or supporting are the ones that do not take PAC money. Every other Democrat is going to be criticized for taking PAC money and corporate money. You're in the right place, dude. If you're upset about that, so are we. Stop trying to divide Democrats and Republicans. This isn't a Democrat Live.
Your merger.
Vigorous antitrust enforcement is a bipartisan.
I'm an anarchist. Wait, you're all right. Anarchy's stupid. Anarchism is for people who know that shit isn't going well, but don't have any real solutions, so they just say burn it all down. I think anarchy and anarchists, anarcho-capitalists are just lazy thinkers. I think.
It's an issue.
That's just my opinion, though.
This is not a left-right issue.
I'm ahead of the cold. Thank you, May. Jamar said May's dad is a cum dumpster. Jesus. Sorry, May.
We're based on a company's.
I would never say that about your dad, May. He's a gentleman, and I like that he has disposable income.
Political power or favoritism or ability to do pay-for-play politics means they get a free pass and can take advantage of and gouge consumers.
The president ran on trying to help the average American, rural, non-college educated individuals to try to improve their lives.
Starting the day I take the oath of office, I will rapidly drive prices down and we will make America affordable again. We're going to make it affordable again.
That didn't happen. Maybe a Catholic theocracy, but those days are over. Are you advocating for a Catholic theocracy? We got an Andrew Wilson stand here.
To squander the opportunity, the lost opportunity, to try to help the average American, when that's what the president ran on. Why would you?
Correct, May. I'm not a Democrat nor a Republican. Remember at the beginning when I said, when they were reading the DSA platform, if you were going to put me in a party just beliefs, you would say I'm a democratic socialist right now. And if you read their platform like Mike Johnson did earlier, one of the things that I love about their platform is breaking the two-party system and doing ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting is one of the big solutions to getting rid of the two-party system. We should all have ranked choice voting. I don't believe political parties should exist. I think that they have run their course. We don't need them. I don't think you need to organize in that way. I think candidates should just get on stage in a debate, talk about their ideas, and we should vote for whose ideas we like best. We shouldn't have majority and minority whips. There shouldn't be a Speaker of the House whose job is to get everybody to vote a certain way. It shouldn't be so fucking cliquey. I love all of that. But yeah, if the Democrats and Republicans could go away, great. You will not find me cheerleading for the goddamn Democrats, though.
Do that.
All right. Do that. Did Steph ever send that article? I don't think so. I know Jen says she thinks she found the article, but did Steph send it? Oh, Feanor, why are you using all these slurs? You silly goose. God damn. Okay, that was yeah, don't do that. Why are you using slurs for gay people and then also saying, like, don't be anti-Semitic? What are you doing that for? Don't make fun. Don't be anti-Semitic, but be a bigot in other ways. I would say just like don't be a bigot in general. I'm anti-Semitism. I'm anti-bigotry in general. Not me. You're just liars and everybody knows it. All right, May. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, May. I don't have an answer for you. I got a lot of big feelings today. And you'll be back tomorrow with more big feelings. We didn't ban you today, so you're welcome. Tell your dad I said what's up. Tell him thank you so much for his generosity. It's been much appreciated. All right, that's it for me today. We went a little over, but I was also a little late, so that's fair. Tomorrow, Trump is giving a weird speech. We may or may not play that live. I'm not sure. Got to figure out if there's going to be somebody to watch my daughter during that time. So I don't want to make any promises, but that could be weird. Other than that, Jen, did I miss any comments?
Nope, I think you got one.
Thanks. And Daedalus, your commitment to saying at great rates every time I talk about fucking MAGA dads was much appreciated today. So thank you for that. Guys, I will see you tomorrow morning and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here wherever you watched today. In the meantime, go outside and touch grass. If you can't touch grass, smoke grass. If you can't touch grass or smoke grass, best of luck to you. I don't know what the fuck you're going to do, but you could consider reaching down, finding your bootstraps, pulling yourself up by those bootstraps, and then putting those boots on the ground and go out and do something useful. But before you do, look in the mirror and say nice things about yourself. Hydrate before you leave and take some water with you because it's hot out there. And until I see you guys again tomorrow morning, take care of yourselves, stay cute and cool, and have a great, great, great summer.